Chapter 1570. Su Fang actually made it to the Destiny platform. The people who were most shocked were the Grand Elder of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Sect and the sect's leader. Why was that so? Su Fang had displayed incredible talent and strength during the Tao Disciple Tournament, shocking the Heavenly Mandate Bright Sect's leader and many other high-ranking officials. They had to admit that Su Fang was a peerless genius that was hard to come by in a million years. If it had been any other competition, the Heavenly Mandate Bright Sect's leader and high-ranking officials would have treated Su Fang like a treasure and taken him in without hesitation. However, the Tao Disciple Tournament this time was a competition to choose the next sect leader of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Sect. The sect's higher-ups had long decided that Dao Hengtian would be the next sect leader. The Tao Disciple Tournament was just an opportunity to increase Dao Hengtian's reputation. Who would have thought that a peerless genius like Su Fang would appear out of nowhere? Although Su Fang was the young master of the Ji Great Dojo and a disciple of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Sect, he had only joined the sect for a short time. Moreover, he was from a desolate celestial region at the edge of the great world. Naturally, the Heavenly Mandate Bright Sect's leader and high-ranking officials did not think highly of him. Moreover, Su Fang had killed Mo Wu Tian. As one of the top 10 disciples in the Heavenly Mandate Bright Sect, Mo Wu Tian naturally had a powerful background in addition to his talent and strength. Due to this reason, the Heavenly Mandate Bright Sect's higher-ups had set up obstacles for Su Fang to climb to the top of the Destiny platform. They wanted him to fail so that they could rightfully strip him of his status as a Tao disciple. Who knew Su Fang had defied the heavens and ascended to the top of the Destiny platform? In the history of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Sect, there were many peerless geniuses who had ascended to the Destiny platform and obtained the recognition of the Heavenly Tao to become the children of Destiny. However, Su Fang had ascended to the Destiny platform with an 8 Tao Saint Immortal Stage cultivation base. This was unprecedented in the history of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Sect. There would definitely be no one like him in the future. The Heavenly Mandate Bright Sect's higher-ups, including the sect leader, felt as though they had been slapped in the face by Su Fang. Rumble! In the center of the huge whirlpool in the sky, a huge gate that was 1,000 feet tall was fixed in place. It was like a gate that led to the heavens. A mysterious rainbow-colored light was released from the gate of heaven and landed on the Destiny stage. Su Fang was enveloped by the multicolored light. It involuntarily rose up slowly and arrived in front of the door. Immortal of the lower realm, you have passed the test of the Heavenly Tao and entered the gate of heaven to receive the baptism of the Heavenly Tao's divine power and receive the Heavenly Tao's conferment. An aged and wispy voice sounded out from the door. It carried a supreme dignity and contained the will of the Heavenly Tao that no one could defy. Su Fang hesitated for a moment, then stepped into the door and disappeared. It was even difficult to sense his aura. What did it mean to reach the heavens in a single bound? The scene before him was like reaching the heavens in a single bound. After entering the heaven gate and receiving the baptism of the Heavenly Tao, one's cultivation, realm, and even cultivation talent would definitely undergo a great transformation. Furthermore, he had been conferred by the Heavenly Tao and would definitely become the sect master of the Heavenly Fate Bright Firmament sect in the future. Even the leader of the Heavenly Gate Bright Firmament sect and the demigod experts who had been in the sect for countless years could not change this reality. This person has reached the heavens in a single bound. In the viewing space, the Immortal Path experts, including Holy Man Han Su and Holy Man Shenlu, were all envious. My disciple is so powerful. Even if the sect doesn't recognize him, the Heavenly Tao will recognize him. Ji Hong Immortal Master laughed heartily. He was very pleased and made Holy Man Han Su's old face feel hot. The peerless geniuses below the Destiny stage were not only envious but also jealous. Only Dao Hengtian remained calm and indifferent. Of course, he was not pretending to be calm, but that was his nature. In the bright firmament city, countless eyes were fixed on the heaven gate on the Abijna screen in the sky to bear witness to this moment. Whoosh! Su Fong passed through the door, and felt a sense of weightlessness as if the world had been turned upside down. It was as if he had traveled through the endless void of the world and experienced countless years. When all the abnormal situations disappeared, the scene in front of him had changed drastically. It was as if he had left the great world and arrived in the divine world. In the vast space, misty clouds curled up like a mirage. Splendid palaces and pavilions, as well as endless lands, mountains, forests, and rivers, could be seen. This was not the real world, but a world created by the supreme Abijna of the myriad worlds. It was not much different from the real world, but it also had the terrifying power of the great world, as well as spiritual energy and shackles equals N_1. In this space, there was an ancient aura that existed when heaven and earth were formed, which made Su Fong fearful and shocked. Under the power of the great world, Su Fong felt that it was difficult for the vital qi in his dantian to move. However, although Su Fong's physical strength and the power of the yin-yang world were strongly shackled, he could still move them. At this moment, a cool breeze blew from the void, making Su Fong feel refreshed. Not only did the power of the great world's shackles lessen, but even his spirit and physical body seemed to have been baptized. The exhaustion from climbing to the top of the heavens-will platform had been recovered. From the void in front of him, a golden Xian Guang flashed and quickly condensed into a shadow. His appearance was not clear, but he could vaguely see that it was a middle-aged man with an aura of nothingness and supreme majesty. It made people unable to have any thoughts of resistance or blasphemy. Su Fong glanced at the shadow and immediately felt a stinging pain in his eyes. He saw a golden light in front of him and quickly closed his eyes. This is the deity of the myriad worlds? It's just a spiritual projection, but it has such a terrifying aura. Su Fong was shocked. In front of the deity of the myriad worlds, he felt as insignificant as an ant. Cultivator from the lower realm, you've passed the test and entered the heaven gate. On behalf of the heavenly Tao, I'll bestow you with supreme fortune and confer you the title of Son of Heaven. Open up your primordial spirit, body, and dantian so that I can baptize you. You're only at the 8 Paths Saint Celestial stage? How can you pass the test and enter the heaven gate with such a weak cultivation base? Did the heavenly mandate bright firmament sect cheat? The golden phantom let out a majestic voice, which was like heavenly thunder, rumbling in the sea of Su Fong's divine aperture. When he discovered Su Fong's cultivation base, he was not surprised at all. A hint of surprise could be heard in his voice. You're actually at the perfected fleshly body realm, and you also have other special constitutions. It seems like the heavenly mandate bright firmament sect has found a good seedling this time. Not bad, not bad. Unfortunately, your cultivation base is too low. You'll be able to absorb less divine power of baptism. Come, try your best to absorb the divine power of baptism. Let's see how much good fortune you'll obtain. With a wave of the golden shadow's hand, strands of auspicious aura surged out from the mountains, pavilions, and palaces. They gathered together and formed a whirlwind that shrouded Su Fong. Whoosh! Su Fong could only hear the whistling of the wind in his ears. Strands of wind entered his body through his skin before it quickly seeped into his flesh, blood, bones, and meridians. It reached every corner of his body. Pa, 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 pa. A vast aura surged out of Su Fong's body. The wind formed by the auspicious aura seemed gentle, but it instantly exploded with a ferocious force when it entered his body. Su Fong's body, including his blood, bones, and meridians, were being impacted by the divine power again and again as his marrow was being cleansed. The impurities in the placenta surged out of his skin layer by layer and turned into black granules. The stench that had just spread out was immediately turned into nothingness by the auspicious aura. Su Fong felt his flesh and blood burning. It was extremely painful. However, after the intense pain, he felt incomparably comfortable. This feeling of pain and comfort made Su Fang want to cry and laugh at the same time. You can actually absorb so much divine power, as expected of a cultivator with a perfect physical body. It's rare to see someone like that in the myriad of worlds. Since you have this ability, I'll bestow upon you more good fortune. The auspicious aura around Su Fang gradually became thinner. After a moment of surprise, the golden shadow waved his hand again and summoned a whirlwind. Boom! Su Fang continued to absorb the divine power. After the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, an astonishing life force that could surpass all the life in the world suddenly burst out from the depths of his body. It surged into his flesh, blood, meridians, and bones. In an instant, Su Fang's meridians, bones, blood, and flesh were rapidly growing. The magic power in the sea of divine apertures also had a mysterious energy. His young immortal was also undergoing a shocking transformation. Su Fang's cultivation realm was also continuously rising in this short period of time. First, it rapidly rose to the peak of the 8th Tao Saint Immortal Realm. Then, it broke through the peak in one go. The aura on his body and the Tao marks engraved in his divine apertures and body had all become 9th Tao Saint Immortal Realm. This time, due to the divine power's purification, there was no tribulation aura or tribulation fire when he advanced. He advanced just like that unknowingly. 9th Tao Saint Immortal Realm. After another advancement, his entire body underwent a qualitative transformation. Su Fang was very happy. However, he did not stop absorbing the divine power. He had used all his strength to fight for this opportunity. If he missed it, he would not have another chance. Without hesitation, Su Fang activated the world seed and crazily absorbed the divine power. You can still absorb it? Aren't you afraid of exploding your body and Dantian? Lower realm cultivators are really greedy. Then, I'll let you suffer a little. The golden shadow snorted coldly and summoned another whirlwind. The palaces and pavilions in the space, as well as the mountains and the earth, suddenly became much blurrier. Sizzle, the world seed continued to absorb the peaceful aura. The small sapling that was only 1 foot tall was also growing rapidly. In less than an hour, it had grown to 3 feet tall. The Fire Cloud Emperor Physique, Black Lotus True Body, and Dragon Subduing True Body had transformed into bud. They were like bamboo shoots after a rain. The seed at the bottom of the sapling had disappeared. Instead, it grew roots. The main root was connected to the yang meridian. The world seed had finally grown into a world tree. Although it was still very weak, it was still a tree and not a seed. The world tree emitted a mysterious origin energy that filled the heaven and earth Tao Palace. The 6 origin laws, especially the fire and wood laws, were constantly evolving in the heaven and earth Tao Palace. The power of the world of yin and yang had become even purer divine power. Heaven and earth Tao Palace. The golden shadow sensed the abnormality. A divine light that could see through everything swept Su Fang's body. Immediately, Su Fang's heaven and earth Tao Palace appeared. _our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1571. Luo's ability. A lower realm cultivator can actually cultivate the wheel of heavenly Tao and cultivate the world to such a level. The golden silhouette was no longer just surprised. Instead, it was shocked beyond belief. With a wave of his hand, the peaceful aura formed by the divine power around Su Fang was swept away. Oh no, I got carried away and forgot Luo's warning N_R. This golden figure is just a projection, but his gaze is so sharp that he can see through my heavenly Tao Palace. What should I do? Su Fang was shocked, as if he had been drenched in ice water. He knew that he had gotten himself into big trouble. He was so focused on absorbing the divine power that he forgot Luo's warning. Luo, who was in the blood jade deep in his body, did not dare to warn him. With the golden figure's strength, he would definitely discover Luo's existence. A majestic voice came from the golden light. Lower realm cultivator, what kind of divine technique are you cultivating? You can cultivate the wheel of heavenly Tao? Su Fang felt his scalp go numb. After trembling for a while, Su Fang braced himself and replied, in the ancient immortal demon battlefield, disciple unintentionally obtained an incomplete cultivation method. After fumbling around and cultivating, disciple has made some small progress, but I don't know what wheel of heaven Tao it is. I also didn't expect that this incomplete cultivation method would be a divine cultivation method. An incomplete technique obtained from the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons in the outside world? A snort came from the golden light. Su Fang knew that this explanation could not fool him. He was ready to welcome the golden figure's fury of thunder. Who knew that the golden figure would say calmly, don't worry about anything. You were able to obtain such a technique and cultivate the wheel of destiny. That is your opportunity. Furthermore, although divine techniques are rare and precious in the outside world, they are worthless in my eyes. Naturally, I will not rob you of your opportunity. You are not asking any more? Su Fang was surprised. Not only did he not feel relaxed, but he became even more vigilant. To be able to cultivate the heavenly Tao Palace, what kind of divine technique was the 9 Yang 9 transformations? Even in the myriad worlds, it was definitely a top-notch cultivation method. Yet, this golden shadow spoke of it so casually. Obviously, it had other intentions. Cultivator from the lower world, you've already been baptized by the heavenly Tao. Next, open up your primordial spirit and accept the heavenly Tao's conferment to become the child of destiny. A golden mark shot out from the golden shadow and headed straight for Su Fang's glabella. This golden mark actually contained the aura of destiny. Buzz, the Tao scriptures of the heavenly secret life shrinking technique automatically flashed from deep inside the divine aperture, forming a sturdy defense around the divine aperture. The aura of destiny in the golden imprint caused the heavenly secret life shrinking technique to react. Clearly, there was a power that could threaten Su Fang's destiny. But the golden mark seed crashed into the divine aperture's defense and was bounced back by the Tianji life shrinking art. The golden phantom was surprised, and then he shouted coldly, "You dare to defy the heavenly Tao and resist the heavenly Tao's conferment? Open your divine aperture and accept the edict seed." At this time, how could Su Fang not understand? The so-called heavenly Tao's conferment was just using the name of the heavenly Tao to plant a sealing seed in the depths of one's primordial spirit. From then on, one would obediently be controlled. Moreover, the edict seed mentioned by the golden phantom made the heavenly secret life shrinking technique automatically sense the threat of destiny. Clearly, it was not an ordinary sealing seed. Once it was planted in one's primordial spirit, even the heavenly secret life shrinking technique would not be able to remove it. It was not that the heavenly secret life shrinking technique was not powerful enough, but that Su Fang's current cultivation realm was far from enough. At this time, Su Fang finally understood that the so-called child of destiny was just a method used by a powerful force in the myriad of worlds to control the heavenly fate Haotsong sect. Even if this golden phantom, formed by the projection of a god's will, did not discover Su Fang's heavenly Tao palace, he would not be able to escape the fate of being planted with the sealing seed. Su Fang naturally did not refuse any benefits that came his way. It was impossible for him to become a slave under someone else's control. Even if he was as insignificant as an ant in front of the golden shadow, he would still fight to the death. Su Fang respectfully said, "This disciple is foolish and has committed a great crime. Because of this, the Heaven's Mandate Bright Azure sect has revoked my Tao child position. Thus, I am not qualified to become the child of Heaven's Mandate. Please choose someone else. This disciple will take his leave." The heavenly fate Haotsong sect doesn't have the final say on whether or not you have the qualifications to become the child of destiny, and it's not up to you to decide whether or not to accept the heavenly fate bestowal. Accept the edict seed. If you resist again, I will directly kill you. The golden shadow finally revealed its ferocious fangs and threatened Su Fong in a threatening tone. Disciple has no fate to enjoy the imperial edict. I will take my leave now. Su Fong activated the power of the world of yin and yang and flew toward the door. This space was a world created by a god from the myriad of worlds. The abhijna and aura of a large world could not be used. Su Fong could only use the power of the 9 suns and the power of the world of yin and yang. At this time, Su Fong no longer had any scruples. Facing a god, even if he had to expose all his strength and pay any price, he would still make a final gamble. In the current situation, he could only leave this place first and then escape the heavens mandate bright azure sect. Although the hope was slim, if he did not fight for it, there would not even be a glimmer of hope. Insignificant ant, you dare to defy the will of the heavenly Tao? The golden shadow sneered disdainfully. A golden light shot out from it and turned into a 100-meter-long handprint. It instantly arrived above Su Fong's head. An incomparably shocking shackle of divine power enveloped Su Fong, making it difficult for him to move. Under the divine power of a god, Su Fong felt so insignificant. Break for me! Su Fong roared furiously. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, golden lightning flashed out from his body, and his body emitted a wave of popping sounds. His muscles and bones started to grow madly, and he swiftly transformed into an over 100 m tall giant that emanated a shocking aura of divinity that shattered the shackles in the surroundings. Clang! His arms shook and 2 huge golden palms shot out from between his palms, colliding with the golden handprint. The golden handprint was shattered, and Su Fong, who was in the state of giant diamond body, was also sent flying. He spat out blood from his mouth, and his body rapidly shrank. He withdrew from the state of giant diamond body, and his aura suddenly became weak. The strength of a god was so terrifying. Just a projection of his will and a handprint casually struck out could suppress a celestial venerable expert from a large world. Su Fong took advantage of the impact, and was only 100 meters away from the door leading to the outside void. However, it was 10,000 times more difficult to walk this distance than it was to climb the Heaven's Mandate platform. Not only have you cultivated a supreme god-level technique and formed your own world, but you have also mastered such a powerful divine ability. It's a pity that such a supreme divine ability can't be used much in your hands. Why don't you become my slave and give me your techniques and divine abilities? I can make you my representative in the lower world and grant you supreme power in the lower world. The golden shadow laughed complacently and released a supreme divine aura that shackled Su Fong. You're just a projection of your will. You want to suppress me, Su Fong? I won't let you do as you wish. Su Fong's deep eyes flashed with determination. He released the divine aura of the world of yin and yang. Together with the ethereal primordial realm's divine ability, he radiated the power and precepts of the heavenly Tao Palace from his body. Boom! Boom! After a series of collisions, the world formed by Su Fong shattered. The heavenly Tao Palace was shaken, and the Xian Guang of the World Tree dimmed a little. The terrifying divine aura that shackled him was also shattered layer by layer. Su Fong borrowed the force of the explosion to fly dozens of meters away. He was now only a few dozen meters away from the door that led to the outside world. A lowly ant from the lower world cultivated a supreme god-class energy art. I can't believe you've become so extraordinary. Since you don't want to be my slave, then I'll just suppress you and soul-search you. Everything you have will be mine. My luck this time is pretty good. I thought it would be a difficult task, but I didn't expect to reap such an unexpected reward. Not bad at all. The golden shadow laughed viciously and pointed at Su Fong. Boom, boom, boom. The mountains, rivers, forests, palaces, and pavilions in the world all shattered and turned into nothingness. They converged into a shocking aura that crushed down on Su Fang. Such a terrifying divine aura gathered the power of the entire world. High-level Dao realm experts like Dao Master Han Su and Dao Master Divine Cauldron could barely withstand this attack. It was completely beyond Su Fang's ability to withstand. Even the Xianming lightning scroll would be useless. I can't even shake the will projection of a god. I'm about to be suppressed by him. Su Fang's gigantified Vajra body and world divine aura could be easily suppressed. The only thing that could threaten the golden shadow was the lightning of destiny. Su Fang gritted his teeth and was about to use the heavenly workings life shrinking art to summon the lightning of destiny. He would rather sacrifice his lifespan than surrender. Suddenly, Law's voice rang out from deep within his body. Once you use the heavenly workings life shrinking art to its limit, you'll lose all ability to fight. Even if you escape this space, you won't be able to escape the heavenly mandate Bright Heaven Sect. Leave it to me. Law, why did you speak? Wouldn't it be bad if he finds out? Besides, you're trapped in the blood jade. How are you going to help me? If you're suppressed, where am I going to stay? At this time, what's there to worry about? I've fused 2 pieces of broken blood jade, and my primordial spirit has also fused into one. I've broken free of the seal on my body. Although I can't get out of the cage, I can use your body to exert a part of my power. Law's words shocked Su Fangda. Law, after your primordial spirit has fused, you can use my body to exert a part of your power? I can only use it for a short period of less than 10 breaths of time. Furthermore, I can only use it once. Otherwise, a mere will projection dares to be so arrogant? If my physical body was present, I would be able to easily crush it with a single finger. In Law's tone, there was a supreme domineering and arrogant air that looked down on the world. =our download address, mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1572. Another change occurred. The 5th evil sun rose into the sky. The exchange between Su Fang and Law happened in the blink of an eye. The attack of the golden shadow rolled toward Su Fang with a terrifying divine power that seemed to sweep the world. Boom! Su Fang could sense a mysterious yet shocking life force bursting out from the crimson jade in his body and colliding with the cage. The life force penetrated the seals of the blood jade and seeped outside, merging with Su Fang's flesh, meridians, and bones. Su Fang sensed that his body was burning in an instant. An incomparably majestic power, after brewing, burst out in an instant, rushing through his body like a flood. Kill! A kind of boiling blood gave Su Fang the illusion that he could destroy the world with a single punch. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying power released by the golden figure's condensed world was shattered layer by layer under the impact of Su Fang's punch. In the end, it collapsed with a loud bang. Meanwhile, Su Fang's body shot out like lightning, pouncing towards the golden figure. A cultivator from a great world can display such astonishing power, even more powerful than an ordinary high-level Dao realm cultivator. What kind of forbidden technique is this? No, this is not his strength, but an incomparably powerful primordial spirit hidden in his body, completely activating the potential of his perfect physical body. Only an expert from the myriad worlds can have such a powerful primordial spirit, and at the same time, he's also an incomparably powerful cultivator of the physical body. The golden figure's eye power saw the abnormality in Su Fang's body and was shocked. He had no choice but to take this seriously and fight against Su Fang. I can't believe that there is such a terrifying energy hidden in my perfect physical body. I can't use it, but Law can use it to its fullest potential. Law is sealed in the blood jade, and only a part of his primordial spirit is left, but he can unleash such power on my physical body. When his physical body and primordial spirit are intact, how powerful is he? Su Fang felt like a bystander at this moment, while Law's divine might penetrated the shackles of the blood jade's formation seal and controlled his physical body, unleashing a shocking power that set off a storm in Su Fang's heart. Boom, boom, boom. Under Su Fang's forceful suppression, the golden shadow quickly dimmed. Moreover, the power of the void world projected onto the large world through the supreme divine ability was completely depleted. Everywhere was collapsing. The golden figure shouted coldly, "Stop! Who are you? What's your purpose of hiding in this person's body? Do you know that I'm the messenger of Heaven Divine Path? Do you know what will happen if you resist Divine Path?" Law's cold voice came out from Su Fang's body. "What the hell is Heaven Divine Path? How dare you call yourself Heaven Sealing, pretending to be the heavenly path and deceiving people in the outside world? No matter what your background is, you dare to suppress my friends? All of you must die. When I recover and return to the divine world, I'll directly destroy Heaven Divine Path." "You don't even know about Heaven Divine Path? It seems that you've been wandering in the outside world for too long and don't know about the changes in the divine world. There are countless forces in the divine world, and Heaven Divine Path is one of the top forces, controlling more than a dozen divine worlds. How can you contend with it? No matter who you are, you dare to destroy Heaven Divine Path's great plan, so Heaven Divine Path will never let you go. Even if you're in the outside world, they will kill you. If my guess is correct, after the great upheaval, the restrictions from the divine world to the outside world have become stronger. If gods want to descend, they will have to pay a price 10 times more than before. At most, they can only rely on the heavens will platform to descend to the outside world. You still dare to talk big and come to the outside world to kill me? Scram back to the divine world." Boom! The golden phantom was bombarded by Su Fang's fist and immediately shattered, turning into rays of golden light. Law could no longer bear the shackles of the blood jade, and could no longer seep out his divine aura. Huff! Su Fang breathed a long sigh of relief, as if he had just walked on the edge of death. At this time Law shouted, "Leave quickly. That Heaven Divine Path powerhouse just now may descend again at any time." Again? Su Fang's back exuded a chill. The golden phantom just now had forced him to use all his strength. If it wasn't for Law, the result would be incomparably miserable. If there was another divine aura projection, how could Su Fang have the capital to resist? "Leave here first, then quickly escape from Heaven's will Haotsong sect." Su Fang didn't dare to stay in the slightest and hurriedly flew toward the door to the outside world. Just one more step and he would be able to step out of the door. Suddenly the origin sacred mirror in the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace suddenly surged like water waves, and a scorching aura appeared. Then, the dragon bird suddenly let out a cry that was full of excitement and a little bit of fear. "What's going on?" Su Fang's heart trembled, and an ominous premonition that had appeared before surged from the bottom of his heart equals N_R. At this moment, boom! In the void world behind, after a flash of golden light, it condensed into a figure. Compared to the previous golden phantom, it was much more realistic, and its appearance was very clear. This was a middle-aged man with a square face, with supreme majesty and momentum, eyebrows like swords, and deep eyes. "You think you can escape from my palm after killing one of my divine aura clones?" the middle-aged man said majestically, and struck out a Dharma seal. In an instant, Su Fang felt as if the whole world had frozen, and he couldn't move at all. His vital qi, dantian, and even the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace were all unable to operate under the astonishing shackles. "Puny ant, how dare you defy the heavens? Not only will I search your soul, but I will also obtain your supreme cultivation techniques and divine abilities. I will also not let go of the primordial spirit residing in your body." The middle-aged man took a step forward and instantly traversed through the void, arriving in front of Su Fang. "Heaven's secret life shrinking technique, fate's creation, control Heaven's secret. If I want to live, Heaven cannot take it away. Fate's creation, control heaven's secret. If heaven punishes me, I will defy the heavens. Fate's creation, control heaven's secret. If the earth buries me, I will break the earth. Su Fong pushed the divine power of the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace and 9 Yang vital qi to the extreme, finally loosening the shackles around him. Then, he put his palms together and used his primordial spirit to chant the Tao runes from the Heaven's secret life shrinking technique. I like to see ants struggling before death. The middle-aged man revealed a disdainful expression, like a cat teasing a mouse. Su Fong stared at the middle-aged man, and lightning flashed in his deep eyes. "Ant, let's see what other divine abilities you have." "Ah, what kind of lightning technique is this?" At first, the middle-aged man still had a mocking expression, but in the next moment, the divine light in his eyes changed and was filled with shock and horror. Lightning of fate. The soundless lightning of fate rumbled, and a terrifying divine power that could destroy everything related to fate enveloped the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's consciousness shadow formed by the golden light shattered layer by layer. Just as the shadow was about to collapse, a golden light bloomed from the void and hit the shadow. Another lifelike middle-aged deity was formed. Boom! Boom! The power of the lightning of fate continued to explode. However, this man was indeed from the myriad world. Streaks of golden light formed by his consciousness continuously surged out from the world and merged with the consciousness shadow, forming a new consciousness shadow. After more than 10 breaths, the divine power of the lightning of fate was finally exhausted, and there was nothing left. Even the thunder of destiny is unable to completely kill him. The deities of the myriad worlds are actually so powerful. Su Fong's heart sank to the bottom of the abyss. This time, after activating the lightning of fate to the extreme, Su Fong's hair turned snow-white, and his skin was full of wrinkles. He looked like an old man in his 60s. After paying such a heavy price, he still could not completely kill the middle-aged man's consciousness shadow. The difference between an immortal and a deity from the myriad worlds was like the difference between a mortal and an immortal. They could only look up to the immortals and could not compete with them. "Little ant, you actually lost nearly half of my primordial spirit's power. Not only will I strip your memories, but I will also let the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect seal your primordial spirit and torture it for eternity." The middle-aged man roared furiously. His anger could burn the heavens, and he no longer had the lofty and domineering demeanor of before. The lightning of fate had still caused him serious injuries. It was like a giant being bitten by an ant, and it was not an ordinary injury. One could imagine how angry he was. The middle-aged man raised his palm, which was burning with golden light, and pressed it directly toward Su Fong's head. Suddenly the middle-aged man seemed to have sensed something, and his palm stopped abruptly. He looked up at the sky, and his eyes shone with golden light. However, this void world was created by the myriad world's supreme divine ability and was formed by projecting it onto the heavenly mandate platform. There was nothing in the sky and nothing could be seen. Su Fong, whose life was hanging by a thread, had unexpectedly escaped a calamity. However, he was not happy at all. Instead, his heart suddenly sank. The dragon qi in his body became restless and surged out of his body uncontrollably. Blood-red light shot out of his eyes, which were filled with madness and violence. The dragon bird in the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace became restless again. Su Fong could even clearly sense its excitement and fear. "It's changing again. Heaven and Earth is changing again." Su Fong hurriedly urged his primordial spirit to suppress the restless consciousness. However, his heart was still cold. The next moment, an aura surged out from the door behind him with the force of a mountain flood. It instantly filled the entire void world, causing it to shatter layer by layer. Suddenly, the bright divine light of the sun burst out from Su Fong's body, followed by the dragon bird's cry that reverberated throughout the world. At this moment, in the secret space of the Heavenly Mandate Haut Song sect, where the Heavenly Mandate platform was located, the incomparably powerful enchantment was also shattering layer by layer, quickly revealing the outside world. It was as if a large evil hand had torn a large hole in the enchantment. In the sky, around the divine sun, there was another evil sun formed by dark red blood. A total of 5 evil suns surrounded the divine sun. The dark red light descended between heaven and earth, and an evil aura filled the great world. No, not only the great world, from the small world to the great world, and even the myriad worlds, every corner was enveloped by the evil aura. The 5th evil sun rose into the sky. =_our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1573. Catastrophe explosion. Another change occurred in heaven and earth. The 5th evil sun rose into the sky. Affected by the power of the evil sun, the entire macro world was in great turmoil. The space where Su Fang was also greatly impacted. Under the impact of the evil sun, the space shattered layer by layer and was about to collapse. The heaven and earth have changed. It will no longer be so easy to use supreme divine ability to project your will into the macro world in the future. Seal Heaven Divine Path will lose control of the macro world. This time, I have also lost nearly half of my primordial spirit power. Fortunately, I have obtained a supreme technique and divine ability that can cultivate the wheel of heaven and earth. It can be considered as making up for it. The middle-aged god looked at Su Fang again, and revealed a sinister smile. It was as if he was looking at a weak chicken waiting to be slaughtered. My name is Mizar Divine Sovereign. You and the primordial spirit in your body should be honored to die in my hand. After laughing complacently, the middle-aged god's right palm burned with golden flames again, and slapped down on Su Fang's head. You are Mizar Divine Sovereign? This time, I will kill your will projection first. One day, I, Su Fang, will go to the myriad worlds and kill your true body in Seal Heaven Divine Path. Su Fang suddenly smiled coldly. Due to using the thunder of destiny, Su Fang's hair was snow-white and his appearance was old. His aura was extremely weak, and he was on the verge of death. However, he looked at Mizar Divine Sovereign as if he was looking at a dead man. His voice was filled with supreme dominance and fierce killing intent. The next moment, an incomparably majestic power exploded from Su Fang's body. A blood-red light flickered on his fist like a burning blood flame. Boom! The punch blasted out, and it was as if it was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. First, it was the Mizar Divine Lord's palm, and then his body. They were shattered into pieces, turning into golden light that dissipated. Ant, I will remember you. You dared to destroy my will projection and injure my primordial spirit. No matter how big the 3 worlds are, there will be no place for you to hide. Mizar Divine Sovereign's voice came intermittently from the collapsing void. Su Fang looked at his fist in disbelief. Just now, he had actually killed the consciousness of a deity with a single punch. Of course, that unstoppable punch just now was not a strength that Su Fang could possess. Law, how did you suddenly burst out 10 times more powerful than before? At the critical moment, Su Fang suddenly had such a strong power, which came from Law. When the evil sun rose into the sky, the power of the world's change caused the seal of the bloody cage to shatter quite a bit. That's why I was able to use your physical body to display my supreme divine might. Luo Mingxian's voice, which had become extremely weak, rang out. Luo, what's wrong? Su Fang quickly peeled off a young immortal and entered the blood jade. In the bloody cage, Law's aura was weak, and the bloody light on his bloody clothes was dim, and he looked like he had suffered heavy losses. Don't worry about it. After continuously using my race's supreme ability, I've overdrawn myself. I'll probably have to sleep for a while. The space here is about to collapse. Leave. Due to the influence of the world's change, in a short period of time, it will be difficult for the heaven-sealing divine path to cross the shackles between the worlds and the great worlds to contact the Tianming Haotsong sect. They will not be able to send down their divine might, so you don't have to worry about their pursuit. The world has changed, and the calamity has intensified. The Tianming Haotsong sect will not be spared. You have to be careful and grow up as soon as possible." As he spoke, Law closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. "Law, thank you." Su Fong cupped his fists at Law, feeling very touched. At the same time, he was also worried. Law had just fused with his primordial spirit, and he had continuously used his ability to fall into a deep sleep. He did not know how long it would take for him to wake up. Buzz, a movement came from the Tao Palace of Heaven and Earth in the depths of his body. Turned out that the movement came from the Origin Sacred Mirror and Dragonbird. Under the impact of the evil Yang power just now, both the Origin Sacred Mirror and Dragonbird had absorbed a large amount of the power of the sun. A surge of 9 Yang energy surged out from the Origin Sacred Mirror and entered the Yang Meridian. At the same time, Dragonbird also spat out the power of the sun, causing the almost dried-up Yang Meridian to surge with majestic Yang energy. It shook the meridian where the 45th Yang Meridian was located, as if it was about to be born. "Let's leave here first." Su Fong withdrew his Yang Immortal, and went through the portal to the sky above the Destiny stage. Although he had consumed more than half of his life force and Yang energy, he did not lose any of his true qi. Now, he had replenished a large amount of Yang energy, otherwise, it would be difficult for him to even fly. With a sweep of the Great Perfection ability, Su Fong's heart fell into an ice cave. The boundary of the dojo where the Destiny stage was located was completely shattered, and the entire star was exposed to the natural world outside the dojo. 6 divine suns hung high in the sky. This star of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect had been moved here from the myriad worlds with a supreme combat art. It contained the aura of the god realm, but now it was suppressed by the dense qi of death and evil, thinning by more than 30%. The natural qi of heaven and earth in the great world was also severely suppressed. Under the influence of the evil Yang power, countless big goblin in the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect's dojos and Haotsong city fell into a frenzy. Most of these big goblin had been suppressed or reared by cultivators, and now they attacked cultivators without regard for their targets, causing chaos everywhere. In the various dojos, qi of death, and even demonic qi rose from the depths of the earth. Under the influence of the evil Yang power, the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect's seniors who had died tens of thousands of years ago were resurrected. There were also demonic qi cultivators who had been sealed and suppressed, and they were constantly attacking the seal. The 81 dojos of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect, which meant 80 stars and the heavenly mandate celestial land, had always been enveloped by a supreme fortune, but now it was also suppressed. The heavenly mandate Haotsong sect was the greatest faction in the great world and located in the central immortal domain. The natural qi of heaven and earth was incomparably abundant, and it hadn't been greatly affected by the previous 4 upheavals. Moreover, it was protected by the fortune of the heavenly Tao. But now, it felt as if the heavenly Tao's divine might had been blinded, and it would no longer be protected by the heavenly Tao. If the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect was like this, how would the other factions and the other immortal domains of the great world fare? This was only the beginning. The true calamity had yet to descend. The evil Yang power could suppress nature, and it was no different from a disaster for cultivators. It could cause monsters to lose control of their consciousness and become violent and savage. It was even more fatal to monsters, but the demonic qi cultivators and resurrected demonic qi cultivators could use the evil Yang power to become even stronger. It wasn't hard to imagine that the demonic qi cultivators and resurrected demonic qi cultivators would soon flood into the immortal Tao world. With the rise of the 5th evil Yang, the calamity that would destroy the great world intensified once again. It would surely engulf every corner of the great world, and even the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect wouldn't be spared. The immortal Tao cultivators and peerless geniuses around the heavenly mandate platform were all focused on the evil yang in the sky. Their eyes were filled with despair, as if doomsday had arrived. No one even noticed the appearance of Su Fang and the disappearance of the portal in the sky. I said that the heavens will die, and the heavenly Tao will no longer protect the immortal Tao. Not only the great world, but the entire three realms will be ruled by the demonic Qi, ha ha ha. The demonic Qi saint, Ming Yen, laughed without restraint. His laughter was incomparably arrogant, but not a single immortal Tao cultivator rebuked him. You'd better submit to the demonic Qi as soon as possible. Otherwise, when the demonic Qi army arrives, the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect will also be turned into a wasteland. After another round of complacent laughter, Ming Yen left in embarrassment. No one came forward to stop him. Looks like the King of Death was right. The heavens will die, and the three realms will be destroyed. Su Fang thought of the small world that would be destroyed because of the calamity. The great world would face the same fate. He felt as if a mountain was pressing down on his heart. With the calamity coming, the great world's survival of the fittest will become even more cruel. I'm still not strong enough. Su Fang felt a strong sense of urgency. Whoosh! A figure appeared at the top of the heavenly mandate platform. It was the Ji Hong Immortal Venerable, who had been paying attention to Su Fang. He immediately rushed over when he saw Su Fang appear. Su Fang, are you all right? Didn't you receive the heavenly Tao's baptism and conferment? Why are you in such a sorry state? You actually used your life force as the price to cast a forbidden spell. The Ji Hong Immortal Venerable was shocked to see Su Fang's white hair and old face. Su Fang cupped his fists and said, "Master, I'm fine. When I was receiving the heavenly Tao's baptism just now, just as he was explaining Qi suddenly, Su Fang felt a strange movement inside his body explode. Su Fang was stunned. He peeled off a Yang Immortal and entered the Tao Palace. The movement came from the Yang Meridian deep in his body. The meridian where the 45th Yang Meridian was located was being attacked. Majestic Yang Qi was exploding, and a shocking force was stirring. The 45th Yang Meridian is actually being born now? Su Fang was shocked and stunned. It turned out that the 45th Yang Meridian that was being attacked was about to be successfully formed. The Nine Suns' 9 transformations was about to enter the 5th transformation from the 4th transformation. Every transformation of the Nine Suns' 9 transformations required a huge fortuitous encounter. From the 4th transformation to the 5th transformation, Su Fang had been accumulating for many years. He had swallowed countless pills and fire elemental spiritual items. Even the dragon bird had continuously poured the power of the sun into his Yang Meridian to help Su Fang cultivate. The only thing he lacked was a fortuitous encounter. He didn't expect that the fortuitous encounter and opportunity to enter the 5th transformation would be the power of the heaven and earth transformation brought about by the ascension of the 5th evil sun. Once the 45th Yang Meridian was formed, Su Fang would be able to enter the 5th transformation of the Nine Suns' 9 transformations. This would bring him unexpected and shocking changes. However, Su Fang couldn't be happy no matter what. The Ji Hong Immortal Exalt was shocked and stunned. What kind of cultivation technique is he cultivating? He actually uses such shocking Yang Qi? He raised his head to look at the sky above the Destiny stage. The Ji Hong Immortal Exalt couldn't sense the space that was connected to the myriad worlds. His heart was instantly in turmoil. It seemed that Su Fang didn't just receive the heavenly Tao's baptism and conferment in the space. He must have done something big that could shake the Destiny Haotsong sect. However, there was clearly a divine aura on his body after being baptized by divine power. Moreover, his cultivation had advanced to the 9th Saint Immortal realm. What exactly happened? The Ji-hong Immortal Exalt was puzzled and extremely shocked. He waved his hand and said, "With such a huge change, the sect will definitely come out to investigate. Quickly leave this place." Whoosh! The Ji-hong Immortal Exalt waved his hand and released a divine aura that enveloped Su Fong. Then, he quickly left the Destiny stage. =_our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1574. Fifth transformation. After Ji-hong Immortal Venerable brought Su Fong out of the Heaven's Fate platform, he rushed back to the main peak of Ji-hong's star and immediately activated the barrier to cover the main peak. "Master, I will take my leave first." Su Fong felt the movement in his body getting bigger and bigger, so he hurriedly said to Ji-hong Immortal Venerable. Ji-hong Immortal Venerable said, "Go, don't worry about other things. I will block everything outside for you." "Thank you, Master." Su Fong's heart was moved. He went to a remote place behind the main peak. "I will focus on attacking this Yang Meridian first. I will not think about other things for now." Su Fong sat down cross-legged and forgot about the changes in the world and the calamity. He put all his attention on the 45th Yang Meridian. He swallowed a large amount of vast Yang pills, other elixirs, and spiritual items to activate the 9 Yang 9 transformations, turning them into Yang Qi and entering the Yin Yang Dao wheel. At the same time, he gathered all the energy in his body and absorbed the 9 Yin cold Qi from the Origin Sacred Realm. Through a major circulation, he started to attack the 45th Yang Meridian. Sizzle! Under the repeated attacks, this meridian kept trembling and burning with shocking Yang Qi flames. It was almost turning into a jade state, but there was still a little bit left. After countless attacks, the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace formed by the 44 Yang Meridians and the World Tree suddenly went silent for a moment. It was as if all the aura in the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace had been absorbed by the 45th Meridian, and it was brewing a shocking aura that would shake the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace. Qi. A dazzling xian guang of Yang Qi flowed from one end of the meridian to the other. Boom, boom, boom. The xian guang of Yang Qi swept through the entire Heaven and Earth Tao Palace. When it finally returned to this meridian, it exploded with shocking Yang Qi flames. After a series of intense tremors, the 45th meridian quieted down and turned into a jade Yang meridian. The 45th Yang meridian was successfully born. Su Fong continued to pay attention to the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace. There would definitely be a big change in the 5th transformation. As expected, after a moment of silence, the 45 Yang meridians that were born from the 37th to the 45th meridian burned with Yang Qi flames. Then, they moved and formed an irregular circle. All 45 Yang meridians formed a Yang meridian spiral, forming a total of 5 Yang meridian vortexes. The change wasn't over yet. When the true Qi and energy in his body merged with the Yang Qi in the new Yin Yang Dao wheel, the Yang meridian was like a surging river, crazily rushing and circulating. It was vast and turbulent, and its speed and momentum were more than 10 times greater than before. The roots of the World Tree floating in the middle of the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace were connected to the first Yang Meridian. It crazily absorbed the Yang energy released by the Yang Meridian and quickly turned it into the power of the Yin-Yang world. It was released and returned to the 45 Yang Meridians. The entire Heaven and Earth Tao Palace was like a galaxy shining with a bright and mysterious light. A divine light that only gods had covered the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace. His entire body's power came from the 45 Yang Meridians. In the end, it poured into the World Tree. After cultivating through the World Tree, the power of the Yin-Yang world surged out. This method of operation was like the operation of the Supreme Heavenly Tao. After activating the 9 Yang 9 transformations, the Yin-Yang Dao wheel instantly began to explode with earth-shattering movements. Boom. The pure Yang energy and the power of the Yin-Yang world filled every corner of Su Fong's body. It made him feel as if he was a world that was independent of the heaven and earth. It operated on its own and evolved according to the operation of the heavenly Tao. Ji Hong Immortal Venerable had been paying attention to Su Fang. When he sensed Su Fang's qi, an incomparably terrifying light flashed in his deep eyes. He has actually reached such a high level in the world Tao. He has turned himself into a world. The divine might of the world Tao is more than 10 times stronger than when he fought against Ming Yen. Not even the peak immortal venerable experts of the great world can cultivate the world Tao to such a high level. This disciple of mine is simply a heaven-defying monster. His future achievement won't be the peak of the Tao realm. He will surpass the peak of the great world and reach the level of a god. Moreover, he won't be an ordinary god. Originally, I wanted him to cultivate my time Tao so that he could enter the Tao as soon as possible. Then, I will help him break through the peak of the Tao realm within 10 million years. After that, he will go to the end of the great world. I didn't expect that he would be able to reach such a high level without my help and without 10 million years. At most, he would only need 1 million years. No, he might even need a few 100,000 years. Qianxue, you should wait there for a few more days. Ji Hong Immortal Venerable's heart was in turmoil. He couldn't calm down for a moment. At this moment, a voice with supreme majesty suddenly resounded in the sky above the main peak of Ji Hong's star. Ji Hong, bring Su Fang to the meeting hall. Su Fang wasn't unfamiliar with this voice. It was the leader of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect. Sect master, when Su Fang was receiving the baptism of the heavenly Tao, he encountered a change in the heaven and earth. Now, his life is in danger and he needs to go into seclusion to cultivate. Ji Hong Immortal Venerable cupped his fists towards the void where the voice came from and said respectfully. Su Fang sensed that there was a sensing force that stopped on his body and carefully sensed him. Although Su Fang had successfully developed a Yang Meridian, entered the 5th transformation of the 9 Yang 9 transformations, and swallowed a large number of medicinal pills and spiritual items, his life force had yet to fully recover. His hair was gray and his appearance was still that of a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s. He indeed looked like he was seriously injured. The sect master's majestic voice resounded again. The Heaven's Mandate platform has lost its connection with the myriad worlds. The spatial world created by the upper realms experts with supreme divine abilities has collapsed. Su Fang was inside at that time. This matter is related to the rise and fall of the sect. How can there be any delay? Come here and accept the sect's inquiry. It won't be too late for you to recover after that. Sect master, don't go too far. Ji Hong Immortal Venerable shouted coldly. The sect master said indifferently, What? Ji Hong, you even dare to go against my decree? Ji Hong Immortal Venerable said loudly, My disciple Su Fang won first place in the Tao Disciple competition. He was originally the best candidate to become a Tao disciple, but you let him climb to the top of the Heaven's Mandate platform and become the child of destiny. Only then can he become a Tao disciple. The world has changed and lost its connection with the upper realm. What does this have to do with my disciple? You didn't care about his life and death and summoned him to inquire. How can I accept that the sect master treats my disciple like this? I definitely won't obey the sect master's decree. The sect master's soul shadow appeared above the main peak, and a supreme divine might enveloped the main peak. Ji Hong, could it be that you want to betray the sect? Ji Hong Immortal Venerable didn't back down, and his tone was aggressive. Betray? Sect master, don't forget that I joined the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect because of the Grand Supreme Elder's invitation. Only then did I become the sect master of the Ji Hong Dojo. Back then, we agreed that I wouldn't be bound by the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect's laws and could go and stay as I pleased. Sect master, could it be that you want to force me to summon the Grand Supreme Elder, who is in seclusion, and have him uphold justice for me? The sect master fell silent, and his divine might also dissipated. When Su Fang heard the conversation between the two, he couldn't help but fall into intense shock. He already knew that this cheap master wasn't simple, but he didn't expect him to be this complicated. The Grand Supreme Elder that Ji Hong Immortal Venerable spoke of was definitely the Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect's pillar of stability, the terrifying existence that was rumored to have one foot in the true God realm. How could the Ji Hong Immortal Venerable be an ordinary person, since he could converse with such a terrifying existence? Fine, I'll give Su Fang 5 years to recover, and then accept the sect's inquiry. This matter is of great importance, and it must be investigated clearly. This matter isn't negotiable. As soon as the sect master's majestic voice fell, his soul shadow disappeared into nothingness. Su Fang cupped his fists in the direction of the Ji Hong Immortal Venerable. "Thank you, Master." The Ji Hong Immortal Venerable transmitted his soul and said, "I won't ask you what happened. Hurry up and recover your life force. At the same time, think of how to explain to the higher-ups of the sect. Don't let them have any suspicions." Su Fang nodded. "I understand." Whoosh, a storage ring appeared in front of Su Fang, and then the Ji Hong Immortal Venerable's soul voice sounded again. "There are 100 Thunder Blood nascent elixirs and some elixirs that can replenish life force. Come to my cave abode and cultivate in peace to recover." "Thank you, Master." Su Fang grabbed the storage ring, and he was very touched. This cheap master was really speechless. After entering the Ji Hong Immortal Venerable's cave abode, Su Fang came to the room where he used to cultivate. He sealed the door and then entered the true Dragon Realm's cultivation field. Whoosh, after forming the seal, his physical body shattered and turned into a surging sea of blood. It crazily devoured elixirs and quickly recovered the life force that was consumed. In the depths of the cave abode, the Ji Hong Immortal Venerable passed through layers of powerful sealing formations and came to a room. In the room, an old man sat cross-legged in the center. This old man's appearance was exactly the same as the Ji Hong Immortal Venerable, but he looked a bit older. His aura was empty, and he didn't seem to be someone from the great world. "Main body." The Ji Hong Immortal Venerable nodded at the old man. The old man smiled. "Clone, this disciple of yours is simply heaven-defying. Apart from those peerless geniuses in the great worlds, it's hard to find anyone who can stand shoulder to shoulder with him. It seems that it won't be long before I return to the great worlds." The Ji Hong Immortal Venerable shook his head and smiled bitterly. "Su Fang's growth speed is too fast, and I'm afraid my recovery speed won't be able to keep up." Fortunately, Su Fang obtained a piece of desolate wood during the Tao Disciple competition, and he gave it to me as a gift. With this divine wood, my recovery speed will probably be much faster. Desolate wood. The eyes of the Ji Hong Immortal Venerable suddenly shot out a wisp of light, and he reached out to grab the desolate wood that the clone took out. "That's right, it's the divine wood that was born when the great world was formed. With this piece of desolate wood, I can save at least 100,000 years of time." Su Fang actually has such a filial heart. You didn't waste your efforts on him. A shocking power of time burst out from the palm of the Ji Hong Immortal Venerable, and he directly absorbed the essence of the power of time contained in the desolate wood into his body. =_our download address, mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1575. Old Friends Meet True Dragon Realm. Splash, splash, splash. Blood boiled and roared like a raging ocean. The flame of life, which was more than 100 feet tall, burned fiercely. After half a year of recovery, Su Fang had not only recovered all the life force he had lost, but his cultivation had also quickly stabilized at the peak of the 9 paths of the Saint Immortal Realm. The yang energy in his yang meridian had also gradually reached its peak, and he was trying to break through the 46th yang meridian. Such astonishing recovery speed was not only because of the Yellow Spring's Blood Sea's devouring ability, the Dragon's subduing true body, and the Black Lotus true body's recovery ability, but also because of the cleansing of the divine power. His perfected body had once again transformed to a brand new height. The 9 Yang 9 transformations had entered the 5th transformation. All kinds of true body abilities that were built on the foundation of Yang energy and the perfected body had also transformed. Su Fang's benefits were not limited to that. After being baptized by the divine power, the range of his divine aperture ocean had been further expanded, and his magic power had become extremely profound. His magic power contained divinity, and his ability to communicate with heaven and earth had increased by more than 10 times. More importantly, the 45th Yang Meridian had been born, and the 9 Suns' 9 transformations had reached the 5th transformation. The biggest change was the World Tree, which had grown to 3 feet tall. With the World Tree's transformation, Su Fang's cultivation of the World Tao had taken another big step forward. However, even with so many benefits, Su Fang was still unable to cheer up. In the divine ability world, he had almost been suppressed by the will projection of the Seal Heaven Divine Path's powerhouse. If it weren't for the sudden change in heaven and earth that broke many of the shackles and seals in the blood jade, Su Fang wouldn't have been able to escape this time. Law had paid a heavy price for this and had fallen into a deep slumber. No one knew when he would wake up. With the destruction of the divine ability world, the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect had lost its connection with the divine world. For the time being, no one could find any problems. However, as time passed, no one dared to predict whether the heaven-sealing divine path had some kind of forbidden technique to reconnect with the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect. Once the truth was exposed, even if the Ji Hong Immortal Honorable had a great background, it would be difficult for him to protect Su Fang. We definitely can't stay in the Heavenly Fate Hao Tsang sect any longer. We also have to continue searching for blood jades so that Luo can wake up as soon as possible. Apart from that, I also have to find Immortal Mistress Frozen Dream and bring back Xuanxin, as well as the whereabouts of my second primordial spirit. I have to leave the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect as soon as possible. Heaven and earth are changing again. Calamity is sweeping across the world. I wonder how the Square Heaven Great World is like. Thinking of the Square Heaven Great World, where his family and friends were, Su Fang felt nervous again. Fortunately, before they left, Su Fang had made careful arrangements, so there wouldn't be any danger in the short term. Following that, Su Fang thought of the Green Feather Emperor who had gone to the demon realm, as well as Fairy Xuanxin and the second primordial spirit whose whereabouts were still unknown. He decided to leave the Heavenly Mandate Hao Tsang sect as soon as possible. Xiao Zun. Zi Satin's respectful voice sounded from outside the cave. Su Fang flew out of the true dragon realm and asked, "What is it?" "Someone from Hongxing Hall has sent an invitation to Xiao Zun. This is the invitation." As soon as Zi Satin's voice fell, a Xian Guang flew out of the room with a golden invitation wrapped in it. Hongxing Hall, Su Fang's eyebrows furrowed, and his eyes exuded a cold light. Last time, he was ambushed by Ji Xing Immortal Venerable and almost died. Although it was Ji Xing Immortal Venerable's idea and had nothing to do with Hongxing Hall, he was still a member of Hongxing Hall. Naturally, Su Fang didn't have a good impression of Hongxing Hall. He was planning to pay them a visit when he had the time to settle old scores. He didn't expect Hongxing Hall to take the initiative to invite him this time. He didn't know what they were up to. Walking out of the room, Su Fang grabbed the invitation. At this moment, the life-shrinking technique suddenly reacted. There's a primordial spirit's aura on the invitation. Who could it be? Su Fang wasn't surprised. He opened the invitation, and the shadow of a primordial spirit rose from the invitation. It was Dai. "Kid, I'm a guest at Hongxing Hall. Hurry up and come see me." Dai's primordial spirit's shadow spoke in a domineering voice that Su Fang was very familiar with. Then, the Xian Guang flashed, and the primordial spirit's shadow disappeared without a trace. It's Senior Dai Yao. Why is she in the central immortal domain? And why is she with the people of Hongxing Hall? Su Fang was surprised and delighted. He had always been grateful to Dai, and he treated her like a senior. Now that he suddenly received news about Dai, Su Fang couldn't sit still. He immediately left Solitary Great Star and headed for Hongxing Hall in the celestial land of destiny. Who knew that just as he flew out of the boundary outside Solitary Great Star, buzz, 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 the Tao runes of the life-shrinking technique flashed in the depths of his divine aperture again and condensed into a very familiar figure. It's Senior. The figure condensed by the Tao runes of destiny was the Green Feather Emperor. Whoosh! Two figures emerged from the void. It was the Green Feather Emperor and the Demon Saint who had transformed into a blue-robed cultivator. You can actually detect my existence. Su Fang, you are indeed extraordinary. The blue-robed cultivator's eyes flashed with a sharp light as he sized up Su Fang. These two peerless big goblin were hidden in the void with the supreme talent of the demon race. If Su Fang didn't have the life-shrinking technique's ability to sense the aura of destiny, he wouldn't have been able to detect them. Kid, long time no see. I didn't expect you to grow to such a level and become a peerless genius famous in the great world. The Green Feather Emperor chuckled, his eyes filled with joy and excitement. Su Fang was also using his perfected ability to sense the Green Feather Emperor and the blue-robed cultivator. After advancing to the demon sovereign realm, the Green Feather Emperor had gone to the demon world and was nurtured by the demon race. His strength was far from what it used to be. His chi was void, as if he had become one with the void. The divine light in his eyes flickered, giving people the feeling that he could tear the void apart. At this moment, the innate ability of the rock race had been fully activated. Ordinary immortal venerables were no match for him. Moreover, his innate ability was the speed and spatial ability. Even mid-stage immortal venerables couldn't do anything to him. Looking at the blue-robed cultivator again, Su Fang's heart skipped a beat. Under his perfected ability, the place where the demon stood was empty, as if he had never existed. If he didn't see him there, he would have thought that the place was just empty air. This demon is so terrifying. He's even more terrifying than Tao Sovereign Han Su and Tao Sovereign Divine Cauldron. He's actually a peerless demon saint comparable to the peak of the advanced Tao realm. Su Fang was shocked. Originally, I wanted to observe you for a few more days. I didn't expect you to discover me. Let's go. Follow me. I have something to tell you, the blue-robed cultivator said indifferently and vanished into the void. Lord Demon Saint has something important to discuss with you. Lord Demon Saint is a peak existence in the demon world. Don't offend him later. The Green Feather Emperor warned Su Fang. Then, using his spatial ability, he tore the void apart and brought Su Fang to a valley created by demon chi. Sit. The blue-robed cultivator waved his long sleeve. A stone table and a stone stool appeared on the ground. He sat down on the stone stool and pointed at the opposite side of the stone table. Lord Demon Saint, what can I do for you? Su Fang asked politely after sitting down. My name is Xian Yu. You can call me Xian Yu Demon Saint. This time, I came to the Tianming Haotsong sect with the intention of contacting the Tianming Haotsong sect to discuss an alliance against the demon race and the resurrected powerhouses. Who knew that the Tianming Haotsong sect would compromise with the demon race and the resurrected powerhouses? They're not fit to lead the immortal Tao. This has greatly disappointed me. The Tianming Haotsong sect. Su Fang was speechless at the actions of the Tianming Haotsong sect. I didn't expect that I would be able to witness the peerless demeanor of the number one genius of the great world. This trip was not in vain. This time, I called you here to invite you to join the demon world. Invite me, an immortal Tao cultivator, to join the demon world? Su Fang was shocked. The immortal Tao and the demon world have always been incompatible. Cultivators hunt the big goblin and the big goblin devours cultivators. This is the law of nature. However, there are exceptions to everything. In the demon world, there are also human cultivators like you. There are even countries established by cultivators. Although your talent is extraordinary, you show off your abilities and come from a lowly background. The Tianming Haotsang sect and the immortal Tao will definitely not tolerate you. At this time, the world is undergoing another great change. The calamity of destruction will sweep across the great world. The immortal Tao and the demon world will not be able to escape this calamity. With your own strength, you will definitely not be able to grow. Therefore, this saint invites you to the demon realm. You can bring your family and friends with you. This saint can guarantee that the demon realm will grant you supreme status and status. You will enjoy the same resources as a Taoist disciple of the heavenly mandate Bright Firmament sect. Furthermore, this saint can guarantee that as long as the demon realm remains, you and your family and friends will be safe and sound. Xian Yu demon saint's conditions were very tempting. Su Fang was also tempted. In the face of the calamity, what was more important than safety? After a long time, Su Fang looked up at Xian Yu demon saint and said, "Lord demon saint, I'm very sorry. I can only decline your good intentions." Xian Yu demon saint said in surprise, "You don't agree? Could it be that my conditions are not good enough to move you?" The green-feathered demon emperor also hurriedly said, "Su Fang, for yourself, your family, and friends, please think about it carefully." Su Fang shook his head and said, "It's not that Lord Demon Saint's conditions are not good enough, but that I don't want to leave the immortal Tao." "Why? Could it be that you covet the position of Taoist of the Tianming Haotsang sect?" "I, Su Fang, don't care about the position of Taoist of the Tianming Haotsang sect. I will leave the Tianming Haotsang sect soon. The reason why I don't agree is that I am an immortal Tao cultivator. No matter how the immortal Tao world treats me, it can't change this fact. Now that the immortal Tao world is facing a calamity, what I need to do is to step forward bravely and not retreat." Xian Yu demon saint sneered disdainfully, "Stupid beyond compare. You overestimate yourself. In Lord Demon Saint's eyes, my decision is very stupid and overestimating myself. However, do you think I can escape the calamity if I drag out an ignoble existence in the demon realm? Rather than that, I might as well fight with the demon race, fight with the resurrected experts, and fight with the heavens. Who knows, I might be able to kill my way out." Su Fang made a clanging sound and then cupped his fists to bid farewell. "Wait." Xian Yu demon saint's deep eyes flashed and suddenly stopped him. =R download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1576. A high-level inquiry whoosh. Demon Saint Xian Yu shot out a beam of demonic light, which was caught by Su Fang. When he unfolded it, he saw that it was a crescent moon-shaped white jade token the size of half a palm. "This is my Holy Moon Demon Deterrence Token. If you encounter any life-threatening danger in the future, you can activate this token to break through the shackles of a peak Tao realm expert and the shackles of nature. You can travel through the void thousands of miles away and save your life. However, you can only activate it 3 times at most. After 3 times, this Holy Moon Demon Deterrence Token will be useless." This token also has another function. It can release the Supreme Demon Saint Divine Aura that can deter Big Goblin. If you encounter a powerful Big Goblin in the future, you can use this token to suppress it. Su Fang was surprised. "What do you mean, Lord Demon Saint? I can't bear for a peerless genius like you to fall in the catastrophe, so I'm providing you with some help. Of course, I'm not helping you for free. If you have the chance to become a peak expert in the great world in the future, please help the demon realm when it's in trouble." Demon Emperor Green Feather hurriedly winked at Su Fang. Kid, hurry up and accept Lord Demon Saint's kindness. Then, he secretly transmitted his essence spirit. Lord Demon Saint Xian Yu's Holy Moon Demon Deterrence Token is also an extremely precious item in the demon realm. With this Holy Moon Demon Deterrence Token, not only can you directly suppress a powerful big goblin, as long as it's not a very powerful demon saint, but you can also get 3 chances to escape and save your life equals N_1. If the demon realm needs my help in the future, I won't refuse. Su Fang put away the Holy Moon Demon Deterrence Token and said solemnly. Su Fang didn't feel grateful. In his opinion, this was a deal with the demon realm. Although he was still very weak, he was confident that he would stand at the peak of the great world one day. Thus, Demon Saint Xian Yu wouldn't lose out in this deal. After leaving the valley created by Demon Qi, Demon Emperor Green Feather temporarily stayed by Su Fang's side. When Demon Saint Xian Yu left Destiny Haotsong sect, they would go to the demon realm. Su Fang Demon Emperor Green Feather Demon Emperor Green Feather Demon Emperor Green Feather Demon Emperor and other big goblins. The true dragon realm became lively. And Demon Emperor Green Feather. Demon Emperor Green Feather Demon. Of the Demon Emperor Green Feather was valued Demon Saint Xian Yu. Then Su Fang of Great Xing Hall. Star did of the of God of Heaven of God of Devil Feather of Thousand Demon Song Translation Demon Yu, and of Tsong Fang Tsong Hall Great of Hall Demon. Of Grand Hall Great Elder Great Song Can Su Fang didn't care about the giants of Great Xing Hall. However, when he saw Dai Yi again, Su Fang's mood became better. His worries about the catastrophe were washed away. Just like before, Dai Yi was still domineering. She didn't change because of Su Fang's strength and identity. Instead, she made Su Fang feel more cordial. Song Shui was lucky enough to meet Su Fang and drink with him at the same table. He only knew how to giggle. He was so excited that he couldn't even speak a complete sentence. With Dai Yi's mediation and Great Star Hall taking out a large amount of resources to compensate Su Fang's resentment toward Great Star Hall disappeared. Su Fang asked Elder Gu Xing to call Madame Fanghua. This enchanting woman was subdued by Su Fang when he was in Emperor Ning's mansion. She lurked in Great Star Hall and played a big role. In front of the giants of Great Star Hall, Su Fang treated Madame Fanghua as an old friend. Elder Gu Xing didn't dare to treat Madame Fanghua as a concubine. The giants of Great Star Hall also looked at her differently. They entrusted her with a heavy responsibility on the spot and let her be in charge of an important department of the main hall. It could be said that she reached the sky in a single bound. Madame Fanghua was grateful to Su Fang. She secretly transmitted her voice to thank him. Naturally, Su Fang politely refused. After a banquet, Su Fang left Great Star Hall with Dai Yi. Su Fang asked, "Senior, where are you going next?" Dai Yi raised her eyebrows. "What, you don't want to be responsible for me?" Su Fang almost choked. The catastrophe is intensifying. Although the world is big, there is no place for me to stay. After thinking about it, it is safest to stay with you. This time, I will stick to you. You can't drive me away. You are welcome. Boy, I have to warn you in advance. You must not have any ideas about me. Just now, you secretly flirted with the coquettish woman of Great Star Hall. Don't think that I can't see what is going on between you two. Humph, there is no good man. Cough. Su Fang staggered and coughed again and again. Also, you brat, you used to be like a weak chicken in front of me, but now you've climbed on top of my head. Your cultivation base is much higher than mine, which makes me very unhappy equals N_1. In the future, you must constantly provide me with yang qi and other cultivation resources. This was clearly like inviting a living ancestor. Su Fang's head began to ache faintly. One more thing. Ao Tian Chong Hen, that old bastard, you must find a way to help me find him. Humph, when the time comes, Dai will skin him alive. Dai gritted her teeth, causing Su Fang's heart to feel cold. Just like that, Dai moved into the true dragon world. Su Fang specially chose a mountain range suitable for her to cultivate. He built a cultivation cave and provided her with all kinds of cultivation resources. Dai was from the Ling clan from the spirit world. Her cultivation talent was far beyond that of other cultivators. Previously, she was sealed by the constellation of 9 heavens for 100,000 years and was hunted down everywhere. She could not cultivate in peace. Now that she was in the true dragon world, her cultivation speed was naturally astonishing. The green feathered demon emperor stayed in the true dragon world for half a month. Then, he bid farewell to Su Fang and the other big goblin and left the Heaven's Mandate Haotsang sect with the Black Moon Demon Sage. About 2 years later, Holy Man Han Su's majestic voice rang out in the cave. Ji Hong, bring Su Fang to the meeting hall. The sect master and the higher-ups of the sect want to inquire about him. Su Fang smiled coldly and walked out of the cave. Ji Hong, Immortal Lord, also walked out from the depths of the cave. Don't be afraid. With me here, the higher-ups of the sect won't dare to make things difficult for you. Ji Hong, Immortal Lord, released a divine power to wrap around Su Fang. Then, he passed through the formation and went straight to the depths of the Heaven's Mandate Celestial Land. At the peak of a mountain that towered into the clouds, the Ji Hong Immortal Exalt brought Su Fang to the square and entered the grand hall that was filled with a powerful aura. There were only a dozen cultivators in the spacious hall. It seemed empty. However, these cultivators were all Grand Elders of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsang sect. They were peerless powerhouses whose cultivation had reached the high levels of the Tao realm. Holy Man Han Su and Holy Man Shenlu were among them. In front of so many peerless powerhouses, Su Fang felt like a tiny ant. Su Fang, the sect master, who was sitting high on the main seat, spoke with a voice filled with supreme majesty. An invisible pressure with supreme will of the heavenly way instantly enveloped Su Fang's body. Ji Hong Immortal Lord said coldly, since the sect master has summoned Su Fang to inquire about him, just ask him directly. There's no need to use divine power to scare the younger generation. Ji Hong Immortal Lord had been angry because Su Fang had been treated unfairly by the sect again and again. Now, as soon as he arrived at the hall, the sect master wanted to show Su Fang his power again. Ji Hong Immortal Lord finally could not take it anymore. He waved his sleeve and swept out a divine power of the cycle of 4 seasons. It swept away the pressure that enveloped Su Fang. Ji Hong, you're really arrogant. How dare you be rude to the sect master? Such behavior is disobedience. You should be punished severely. The Grand Elders in the hall were in an uproar. Then, they all reprimanded him. Forget it. The sect master waved his hand, and the shocking pressure shackles disappeared without a trace. Then, a terrifying divine light that seemed to be able to see through everything flashed in the sect master's deep eyes. It landed on Su Fang. Su Fang was instantly touched. He was seen through from the inside out. It was as if everything on his body was seen through without any reservation. Before entering the hall, Su Fang had sealed the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace with the heavenly secret life-taking technique. Some things that he did not dare to expose, including the sky-hiding nether coffin, the origin treasure mirror, and the dragon bird, were all placed in the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace. Otherwise, with the supreme strength of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsang sect's leader, who was at the peak of the Tao realm, he could easily see through Su Fang's background. A hint of surprise flashed in the sect master's deep eyes. This child is indeed extraordinary. There seems to be a layer of ethereal barrier covering his body. Even I can't see through it completely. If he can be used by the Heaven's Mandate Haotsang sect, there will definitely be another peerless expert in the future. Suddenly the sect master raised his eyebrows and a bright light flashed in his eyes. He asked in surprise, Su Fang, since you have entered the heaven gate and received the baptism of the heavenly Tao, you have obviously received the recognition of the heavenly Tao. Why can't I see the imperial seal of the heavenly Tao in your divine aperture? The imperial seal of the heavenly Tao? The so-called imperial seal was clearly a slave seal used by the heaven-sealing divine sect to control the cultivators of the lower realm. Su Fang sneered in his heart, but on the surface, he looked as if he had a lingering fear. He slowly explained what had happened. After entering the heaven gate and receiving the baptism of the heavenly Tao, Su Fang did not hide the scene at all. However, what happened after that was naturally edited. Su Fang explained that at the critical moment of receiving the imperial seal, there was a sudden change in heaven and earth. Not only did it cause the seal to fail, but it also caused him to be seriously injured and almost lose his life. Then, the illusory image formed by the will of the heavenly Tao was shattered by the impact of the change in heaven and earth. The space world that was connected to the baptism of the heavenly Tao was also destroyed, and he used all of his divine abilities to luckily escape the heaven gate and save his life. Su Fang described the scene vividly, causing many of the big shots to be shocked to the core. This explanation could be said to be watertight. Moreover, no one witnessed it at the time, so naturally, no one could find any problems. It was naturally easy to hide these words from other experts, but it was impossible to completely convince the leader of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect, a supreme expert of the outside world. This person's cultivation of the great Tao had reached the peak of the outside world. He could vaguely sense the cause and effect of the matter, and knew the truth of the matter. Whether or not it was as Su Fang said, but he could not find any clues. A big-shot elder said in a cold voice, the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect was able to become the #1 force of the immortal Tao precisely because of the support of the forces of the God realm. Now that we have completely cut off our connection with the God realm, this is a major matter that concerns the future of the sect. Moreover, the world has changed again, so of course we have to investigate this matter to the end. How can we believe the one-sided words of a junior? This big shot's face was old, and there was a black spot on his face, giving people a gloomy feeling. This person was none other than Mo Wutian's master. The sect master nodded and said, "That's right, it should be so. It's just that Su Fang was the only one present at the time, so how can we investigate the truth?" The old man with the black spots said gloomily, "It can't be simpler." Looking at Su Fang, the old man with the black spots smiled coldly and said, "Since he was the only one present at the time of the incident, use the soul search on him, and the truth will be revealed." _R download address. Mobile reading, Bibliographic Review. Chapter 1577. Those who anger the heavenly Tao will be punished by the heavenly Tao, soul search? Su Fang's eyebrows furrowed as coldness seeped out of his eyes. Since when did Tianming Hao Tsang sect become like the devil race, treating their disciples so ruthlessly and unscrupulously? Could it be that with his strength, he can destroy the divine ability of a God realm expert? Whoever dares to treat my disciple like this, don't blame me for being impolite. The Ji Hong immortal exalted roared angrily as he looked at the old man with dark spots with murderous intent in his eyes. A terrifying aura of time flowed out of his body as if he was going to attack in rage at any moment. A cultivator's soul was the most fragile thing. Even the peak experts of the great world couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't cause harm to a cultivator when they performed a soul search on them. Once a cultivator's soul was injured, they would become an idiot at best or die at worst. Moreover, to the person whose soul was being searched, what kind of humiliation was this? The sect master frowned. Su Fang is the #1 genius of the great world. If something goes wrong when you perform a soul search on him, the consequences will be severe. This is extremely inappropriate. The old man with dark spots smiled darkly and said, "Sect Master, you don't have to worry. I cultivate the dark night Great Tao and have mastered a supreme divine ability called Great Seer of Dreams. It can make a cultivator fall into a dream and cause the scenes in the depths of their memories to automatically appear in their mind. I only need to read his memories and not forcefully extract them. It definitely won't cause any harm to his soul. The sect master pondered for a moment and nodded. That's good too. Remember not to hurt Su Fang. I want to see who dares to perform a divine ability on my disciple. The Ji Hong Immortal Exalted roared like thunder. Although he didn't know what happened, he knew that Su Fang was definitely hiding something. Once it was discovered, what awaited Su Fang would be annihilation. Moreover, how humiliating was it to have one's memories read. The Ji Hong Immortal Exalted would definitely not allow Su Fang to be humiliated like this. The sect master said imposingly, Ji Hong, I can guarantee you that Su Fang won't be hurt. What are you worried about? This concerns the rise and fall of Tianming Haotsong sect, so there is no room for discussion. If you continue to disobey orders, Su Fang must be hiding something from the sect. This matter is of great importance. Even if you ask the first Supreme Elder, you must get to the bottom of this matter. Because of the changes in heaven and earth, it led to the collapse of the space world that was connected to the upper realm. What does it have to do with Su Fang? At this moment, he actually performed a soul search on Su Fang. He's simply going too far. It's fine if I don't stay in such a sect. Su Fang, let's go. Let's see who dares to touch you in the slightest. The immortal exalted Ji Hong didn't budge an inch, and he immediately released a strand of divine might with the intention of taking Su Fang and leaving the hall. Ji Hong, since you dared to betray the sect and disregard the interests of the sect, then don't blame me for being merciless. The sect master harumphed coldly. After forming a hand seal, a burst of godly might burst out and shrouded the entire hall. Boom! This hall was where the upper echelons of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect discussed important matters. There were countless powerful formations set up here. Now that they were activated by the sect master, even if a peak expert of the great world made a move, it would be difficult for them to break through the shackles of the formation and walk out of the hall in a short period of time. Moreover, there were more than a dozen high-level Tao Realm Immortal Exalted experts in the hall, and the sect master was at the peak of the Tao Realm. The Immortal Exalted Ji Hong's divine ability flashed with decisiveness, and he was about to perform his divine ability to contact his original body in the Ji Hong star. Su Fang suddenly spoke, Master, I have a clear conscience. Let them perform their divine ability and read my memories. The Immortal Exalted Ji Hong was very surprised, and he secretly transmitted his voice. Don't be afraid. At most, we'll fight to the death. A mere Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect can't keep me here. Su Fang was touched. In the great world, how many masters would be so protective of their disciples? Then he secretly replied, Master, don't worry. I have my divine ability to protect myself. They won't get anything. How could the Immortal Exalted Ji Hong not worry? Then he said, Mo Wutian's master is a high-level Tao realm expert, and he cultivates the Dark Night Great Tao. His divine ability is powerful and strange. You killed Mo Wutian, so he will definitely take the opportunity to take revenge. As long as he does something to your young immortal, you will be completely destroyed. Su Fang smiled coldly, It's okay. I have my ways to deal with it. Not only will he not succeed, but I will also give him an unforgettable lesson. The Immortal Exalted Ji Hong hesitated for a while, but he still chose to believe in Su Fang in the end. He withdrew his divine aura and said to the sect master in a deep voice, Fine. For the sect, I will endure this once. However, if we don't find out anything wrong, the sect must give Su Fang an explanation. The sect master nodded and said, If Su Fang didn't hide anything, it means that he is loyal to the sect. I will make the decision to confer him as the Taoist of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect. The Ji Hong Immortal Exalt sneered. Su Fang seized the first in the Tao disciple competition, and even received the baptism of the heavenly Tao, and obtained the acknowledgement of the heavenly Tao. He ought to be a Tao disciple of the heavenly mandate Bright Sky sect, and he's even the son of destiny. Isn't the sect master's so-called explanation slightly laughable? The sect master thought for a while and said decisively, if Su Fang didn't hide anything from the sect, in addition to conferring him as the Taoist, he can also go to the sect's treasure vault and choose any Tao weapon or other treasures. Ji Hong, you should be satisfied with this, right? Enter the sect's treasure vault and choose a treasure? Su Fang's eyes flashed with a hale and hearty luster. He cupped his fist and thanked the sect master. Thank you, sect master. The sect master snorted coldly. You have to prove your innocence first. The old man's deep eyes exuded coldness as he thought, you killed my favorite disciple, and I will let you suffer in a nightmare for eternity. You want to become the sect's Taoist and obtain treasures? Dream on. Su Fang immediately sat cross-legged in the center of the hall and allowed the old man to use his divine ability. Dark night world. The black-spotted old man struck out an earth-shattering seal, and the area of 10 feet around Su Fang was immediately plunged into a dark divine might. Su Fang felt a strong sense of drowsiness surging from the depths of his mind. He slowly closed his eyes, and his expression became blurred, as if he was a mortal who had entered dreamland. The old man's deep eyes flashed with coldness, and then a young immortal shot out from between his eyebrows and plunged into the dark world. Poof! The old man's young immortal hit Su Fang between his eyebrows and passed through Su Fang's divine aperture's defense without any resistance, and entered his divine aperture. He actually has such a shocking dermic power ocean, and an aura that has been baptized by divine power. This kid is simply heaven-defying. No wonder Mo Wutian was killed by him. Seeing Su Fang's vast dermic power ocean, the old man's young immortal revealed a shocked expression. The next moment, he revealed killing intent and said coldly, even if you are the #1 genius of the great world, you dared to kill my disciple. I will make you wish you were dead. Great dream seer. The old man's young immortal formed a seal and spat out a black smoke from his mouth. Then, it flew out and surrounded Su Fang's young immortal, who was sitting cross-legged above the dermic power ocean. After circling above the young immortal's head, the black smoke entered Su Fang's nostrils and entered the depths of Su Fang's consciousness. I want to see what kind of fortuitous encounter you had to have such shocking achievement. The old man sent out a primordial spirit seal, and scenes kept flashing around Su Fang's young immortal. They were Su Fang's memories. At this moment, they were awakened by the old man's supreme divine ability. It was like a dream. As the scenes of memories were interpreted, the old man's young immortal's face was filled with doubt. In Su Fang's memories, from the small world to the great world, more than 2,000 years of memories was extremely vast. The scenes of memories formed a long river. However, Su Fang's long river of memories was nothing to the black-spotted old man's great world. Naturally, he could decipher all of it. What surprised the old man was that Su Fang's memories were ordinary and mediocre. He couldn't find anything out of the ordinary. He also couldn't find any great adventures or opportunities that made him feel astonished. Cultivators cultivate in defiance of the heavens. Not to mention a peerless genius like Su Fang, even ordinary saint immortal cultivators have heaven-defying luck. In more than 2,000 years, he grew from a lowly ant with no background to the #1 genius of the great world. How could he not have any fortuitous encounter? No, it's not that he didn't have any fortuitous encounter. It's just that this part of the memories is all covered by an ethereal force. I can't interpret it. The old man was shocked. He was only one step away from the peak experts of the great world. Moreover, he cultivated the strange dark night great Tao. His strength was also outstanding among the great elders of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. Even with his strength, he was unable to decipher the memories. How inconceivable was this? If I want to know the results, I can only search his soul by force. The old man's young immortal's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Emo was killed. How could he not take revenge? After searching Su Fang's soul by force, the sect master would at most reprimand him. He definitely wouldn't punish a great elder for a useless genius. As for the Ji Hong immortal venerable, the old man didn't take him seriously at all. The big shots of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect knew a little. The Ji Hong immortal venerable seemed to know the great elder, but he wasn't valued. Therefore, no one took him seriously. Chi. Chi. Suddenly a majestic and ethereal voice of the heavenly Tao suddenly sounded in the sea of Su Fang's divine aperture. The Son of Destiny who was appointed by the heavenly Tao has the protection of the heavenly Tao. How dare an ant like you violate the will of the heavenly Tao and pry into the secrets of the heavens? In the next second, layers of purple chi gushed out from the depths of the divine aperture and the surroundings. A supreme force of luck that seemed to be protected by the heavenly Tao surged out like a tide. It formed a shocking shackle that descended on the old man's young immortal. Immediately after, a mysterious Tao rune flashed out of the purple chi. You will be punished by the heavens if you anger the heavenly Tao. After a cold shout that was filled with killing intent, the thunder of destiny rumbled. The old man's sword chi instantly turned into nothingness. His young immortal only lasted for a moment in the thunder of destiny before being turned into ashes. Only then did Su Fang's young immortal suddenly open his eyes and reveal a cold smile. The so-called voice of the heavenly Tao just now was the voice of the young immortal that Su Fang left in the depths of his divine aperture. At the same time, Su Fang activated his purple chi dharma spirit and used his supreme force of luck to intimidate and shackle the old man's young immortal. Then, he directly used the thunder of destiny to kill the young immortal. In order to not reveal any flaws, Su Fang did not use his full strength to activate the thunder of destiny this time. Thus, he did not lose too much life force. The tips of his hair turned slightly white, and his appearance turned into that of a 20-year-old. Although it was difficult to hide from the eyes of the powerhouses present, Su Fang naturally had a way to explain it. The old man was attacked by the thunder of destiny's supreme force, and he did not only lose his young immortal. =_our download address, mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1578. The experts of the divine world searching for the blood jade, the lightning of destiny. It could erase everything related to destiny. Xiao Zhaotian was killed by Su Fang's lightning of destiny. Everything related to him was completely erased from the world, as if he never existed. One could imagine the terrifying power and dominance of the lightning of destiny. Although Su Fang's lightning of destiny was used against the black-spotted old man's young immortal, his original body was also suppressed by the invisible power of destiny. At the center of the hall, the black-spotted old man who was using his divine ability suddenly trembled as if he was struck by lightning. Immediately after, the black-spotted old man let out a terrified and desperate scream. His physical body turned into ashes layer by layer and fell off his body. His true chi, magic power, primordial spirit, and life force also disappeared into thin air as if they were forcefully taken away. Everyone in the hall was surprised and shocked. The leader of the Tianming Haotsong sect struck out several seals in an attempt to stop the power of the lightning of destiny. However, it was all in vain. After 3 to 4 breaths, the power of the lightning of destiny was completely worn down. The black-spotted old man's aura was extremely weak. Not only did his physical body, true chi, primordial spirit, and life force lose close to 10%, even his cultivation realm fell by a lot. He almost fell from the high level to the mid-level of the Tao realm. Moreover, the black-spotted old man also had a feeling that the entire world was rejecting him. The black-spotted old man looked at Su Fang as if he was a mortal who saw a ghost in broad daylight. His eyes were filled with fear. Such a terrifying scene made all the leaders of the Tianming Haotsong sect in the hall suck in a breath of cold air. Even the Ji Hong immortal exalt was dumbstruck, and tempestuous waves arose in his heart. This disciple of mine is simply a monster. His ability is unfathomable, and he actually injured an advanced Dao realm expert to such an extent. What's going on? The suzerain was both shocked and astonished as he asked. This child is protected by the heavenly Dao. When I was reading his memories, I was punished by the heavens. The black-spotted old man said in a trembling voice. He was so shocked that he couldn't even finish his sentence. Heavenly punishment. The leaders looked at Su Fang with doubt and a trace of fear. Is there such a thing? The sect master raised his eyebrows in disbelief. As the leader of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect and a peak Dao realm expert, he naturally knew that the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect represented the Heavenly Dao and ruled over all life. This Heavenly Dao wasn't the Heavenly Dao of the universe, but the Heavenly Dao of the myriad worlds. Even if Su Fang had been conferred the title, it was unlikely that he would receive the protection of the true Heavenly Dao to punish the Dao realm expert who had pried into his memories. However, the sect master couldn't find any answers to what had happened to the old man, and he didn't dare to try it himself. At this time, Su Fang slowly opened his eyes. His face was full of confusion, as if he had just woken up. The sovereign's deep eyes flashed with a lightning-like light and fell on Su Fang. He asked in a deep voice, Su Fang, what happened just now? Why did you lose so much life force? Su Fang said in confusion, Disciple had a dream just now. It was as if I had experienced a lifetime, and the experience of my lifetime repeated itself. I don't know why, but this lord entered the dream and tried to erase my life. In the end, a giant shining with golden light descended from the sky and struck out a bolt of divine lightning, killing this lord. Then, Su Fang looked like he had a sudden realization. He gritted his teeth and said, I understand now. This lord used a divine ability to directly erase my soul, causing me to lose a lot of life force. If it wasn't for that god, I wouldn't have been able to escape this time. The old man with black spots was full of grievances, but he couldn't defend himself. The Ji Hong immortal venerable pointed at the old man with black spots and shouted, You are simply crazy. As the grand elder of the sect, you actually did such a vicious thing to a junior disciple. Sect master, is this the guarantee you gave me? Enough. The sect master waved his hand and shouted angrily. Then, the sect master said in a deep voice, He has already been punished by the heavens and suffered heavy losses. Su Fang can be protected by the heavenly Dao, so his words are naturally very trustworthy. It is meaningless to continue investigating. This matter ends here. After a pause, the sect master said, Pass down my decree. Dao Hengtian and Su Fang are the Taoists of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect. Their status is equal. At the same time, Dao Hengtian is also a Taoist? Between the two Taoists, who will be the next sect master of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect? When the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect's big shots in the hall heard the sect master's decision, they immediately began to discuss spiritedly. It was like an empire in the mortal world suddenly conferring two crown princes. Such a decision was simply absurd. After thinking for a while, everyone came to a realization. The sect master clearly didn't want Su Fang to become a Taoist. However, Su Fang was recognized by the Heavenly Dao. If he forcefully deprived him of his status, it obviously wouldn't be justifiable. Thus, he conferred Dao Hengtian at the same time. Su Fang was just a foil. Sooner or later, he would be deprived of his Taoist position. The sect master is truly incomparably wise. Su Fang, let's go. The Ji Hong immortal venerable sneered. Then, he left the hall with Su Fang and returned to the Ji Hong planet. 3 days later, the news that the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect conferred Dao Hengtian and Su Fang as Taoists at the same time spread throughout the entire sect. After hearing this news, everyone was stunned and puzzled. Some of the slightly more flexible minds quickly understood the sect's intention. They sighed endlessly at the injustice that Su Fang encountered, but no one dared to say anything. Of course, there was no lack of people who gloated at his misfortune. Immediately after, the news of the black-spotted old man trying to erase Su Fang's soul and being punished by the heavens also spread out, causing everyone in the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect to be extremely shocked. They were even extremely fearful of Su Fang. He was protected by the heavenly Tao and was punished by the heavens for attacking him. Who wouldn't be afraid of such a person? Hence, everyone in the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect kept a respectful distance from Su Fang. Even some of the sovereigns and great elders of the dojos looked at him as if they were looking at a plague god. Xianlin Planet. In the depths of a mystic realm, an old man sat cross-legged in the palace. His temples were gray and he had an ancient aura. He was the sovereign of Xianlin Planet, Venerable Xianlin. Venerable Xianlin raised his eyebrows in surprise. He flipped his hand and took out a blood-colored rune. Then, he formed a seal. A blood-colored light flashed out from the rune and condensed into a primordial soul shadow. This primordial soul shadow was enveloped by a layer of blood light, making it impossible to see his appearance clearly. It was just an essence soul shadow, but it already released a terrifying pressure, causing Venerable Xianlin, a mid-stage Tao realm powerhouse, to tremble. Moreover, judging from Venerable Xuanlin's incomparably respectful attitude, this person was clearly not an ordinary person. Venerable Xianlin asked respectfully, "Lord, have you arrived at the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect?" A cold voice came from the bloodlight. "I encountered a demon powerhouse on the way and obtained clues about my race's supreme treasure. I'm currently rushing to the demon world to search for it. I won't be able to reach the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect in a short period of time." Congratulations, Lord Envoy. Another blood jade is about to be obtained. Most importantly, the 2 blood jades that fell into Su Fang's hands are the most important. During the Tao Disciple competition, I placed a wisp of my primordial soul in your body and personally witnessed his strength. Although he's a little extraordinary, he's only at the 8th Tao Saint immortal realm after all. With your strength, it shouldn't be difficult to suppress him. Before I arrive at the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect, try to kill him and obtain the 2 blood jades. It turned out that after Su Fang defeated Ming Yan and won first place in the Tao Disciple competition, he chose the blood jade and the heavenly desolate wood as reward. When he handed the heavenly desolate wood to Venerable Jihong, Su Fang sensed the killing intent from Venerable Xianlin. It was the will of this powerhouse that caused the heavenly secret life shrinking technique to react. At that time, Su Fang had yet to be baptized by the heavenly Tao, and his cultivation realm was still at the 8th Tao Saint immortal realm. Venerable Xianlin hesitated. "This, if I don't see the 2 blood jades when I arrive at the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect, not only will you not receive any rewards, you won't even be able to protect your own life." Before the voice filled with killing intent could finish, the blood light dissipated, and the primordial soul shadow disappeared without a trace. After a moment of silence equals N_1. Venerable Xianlin smiled bitterly and muttered to himself, "I originally thought that it was a fortuitous opportunity that fell from the sky, but now it seems that I still don't know if it's a blessing or a curse." It turned out that Venerable Xianlin had accidentally obtained a piece of blood jade. He originally thought that he had obtained a supreme treasure, so he used all his means to fuse with the blood jade. In the end, he achieved nothing. Just as he was about to give up, the blood light primordial soul shadow actually sensed the existence of the blood jade and directly descended. Such a shocking divine ability was definitely not something that a powerhouse of the great world could possess. The owner of the blood-light primordial soul shadow came from the myriad world. In order to search for the shattered blood jade, it was unknown when he came to the great world. Perhaps he had come to the great world a long time ago and specialized in guarding the place where the blood jade was sealed. After learning of the strength and intentions of this powerhouse from the god world, Venerable Xianlin was shocked and stunned. At the same time, he was ecstatic. He thought that he had encountered a huge opportunity. He originally planned to directly offer the blood jade in exchange for some benefit. At the same time, that supreme powerhouse also sensed that there was another blood jade within the territory of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. However, its aura was very blurry. It was obvious that it had been fused with by someone, and Venerable Xianlin was trying to find it. It just so happened that the Tao Disciple competition was about to begin. Venerable Xianlin offered a plan. He used the blood jade in his hand as bait to lure the owner of the other blood jade to appear. Since that person had fused with a blood jade, he would naturally sense the other blood jade. At that time, he would definitely appear. In the end, Su Fang won the Tao Disciple competition and took away the blood jade. That supreme powerhouse placed a wisp of his primordial soul consciousness in Venerable Xuanlin's body and sensed that there was another blood jade hidden in Su Fang's body. It was just that he didn't expect that Su Fang would actually sense the killing intent through the heavenly secret life shrinking technique. It was just that Su Fang didn't expect that the other party would come for the blood jade. Venerable Xianlin originally thought that suppressing Su Fang and obtaining the blood jade would be a piece of cake. The huge opportunity and benefits would be easily obtained. Who knew when he heard the news that Mo Wutian's master tried to kill Su Fang and was punished by the heavens in the end? Venerable Xianlin was shocked. How could he still dare to attack Su Fang? A huge opportunity is right in front of me, what's there to hesitate about? If I don't obtain the blood jade, that powerhouse from the myriad worlds will definitely not let me go. Right now, I can only take the risk. I don't believe that a cultivator at the Nine Tao Saint Immortal Realm can really obtain the protection of the heavenly Tao. Determination and ruthlessness flashed in Venerable Xuanlin's eyes. On the main peak of Silent Great Star, four figures shuttled through the array formation and appeared in the sky above the main peak. The leader was Dao Hengtian. Behind him were Toyu, Feng Ling, and Zhang Ruyan. Su Fang, during the Tao Disciple competition, I once promised that I would treat you to a drink after the competition. At this time, I specially brought good wine and invited my good friends and your old friends to come with me. Why haven't you appeared yet? Dao Hengtian's laughter sounded on the main peak with divine might. Welcome. Su Fang flew out. Looking at the four of them, he couldn't help but smile knowingly. At the same time, he thought of Li Haojie and the Lord of Five Poisons, and a faint sense of loss surged in his heart. I strongly recommend a good book, Peerless Sword God. It's very worth reading. =_our download address, mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1579. Extinguishing Soil. Dao Hengtian eventually became the Taoist of the Tianming Haotsong sect, and Su Fang's Taoist position was just a title. It didn't affect Su Fang's good impression of Dao Hengtian. Moreover, Su Fang wasn't interested in the Tianming Haotsong sect's Taoist position at all. Not only did the Tianming Haotsong sect obtain a blood jade during the Taoist competition, but they also received many benefits and improved their strength greatly. Moreover, Su Fang's Taoist position wasn't just a title. He enjoyed the same treatment as the Grand Elder and received a shocking amount of resources every year. Furthermore, the leader of the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect had personally promised that Su Fang could go to the sect's treasury and choose any treasure he wanted. With so many gains, what was there for Su Fang to be dissatisfied with? Su Fang was overjoyed when the four of them came together and welcomed Dao Hengtian and the others into the palace. Feng Ling and Tuyu's performance in the Taoist competition was extremely dazzling, and they were taken in as disciples by the two grand elders of the Tianming Haotsong sect. Because of the two of them, the World Palace became the largest branch under the Tianming Haotsong sect's 81 site. As for Zhang Ruiyun, she stayed in the Tianming Haotsong sect to get close to Su Fang. Su Fang could vaguely guess her intentions, but the falling flowers were intentional, while the flowing water was heartless. The four of them drank to their heart's content and only parted after half a month. Deep in the Tianming celestial land, there was a majestic mountain surrounded by layers of extremely powerful protective formations. The security was very tight, and even the special disciples of the Tianming Haotsong sect would be unceremoniously suppressed if they approached the mountain without a token from the upper echelons. This mountain was where the Tianming Haotsong sect's secret vault was located. Whoosh, a figure passed through the formation and appeared in the sky above the mountain. It was Su Fang who came to collect the treasure. Su Fang frowned as he unleashed his great perfection ability and swept the mountain peak. This is indeed the treasure vault of the heavenly fate Haotsong sect. Not only are there layers of formations that even Tao Master Han Su could not force his way in, but there is also a supreme immortal lord in charge. The true treasures of the sect, such as Tao treasures at the level of the Xianming Thunderdome, or even divine treasures, would definitely not be placed here. Su Fang was already satisfied to be able to find a spirit item that could help in the cultivation of various true bodies. As soon as he approached the mountain peak, a guard immediately came forward to question him. Su Fang flashed his command medallion. The guard knew Su Fang's identity and immediately became respectful. He led Su Fang to the mountain peak. Walking into the main hall of the treasury, an old man with a goatee came out to greet him. He cupped his fists and said, "Taoist, are you here to collect the treasures?" This old man with a goatee was the supreme immortal lord in charge of guarding the treasury. He was also a great elder in the heavenly fate Haotsong sect. Su Fang cupped his fists and said, "Yes." Su Fang noticed that there was a trace of fear in the old man's polite demeanor. He could not help but be surprised. Although he was a Taoist in name and had a very honorable status, it was only a title. Everyone in the heavenly fate Haotsong sect knew this very well. It was not enough to make a great elder fear him. "I have already received a notice from the higher-ups. Taoist, you can choose any treasure in the treasury. Please go ahead, I will not accompany you." The old man with a goatee asked a middle-aged steward to lead Su Fang into the treasury inside the main hall. He did not show himself again. The middle-aged steward used his command medallion and hand seals to open the layers of seals and entered the main hall outside the treasury. "Taoist, do you want to choose magic treasures, elixirs, spiritual items, or other treasures?" The middle-aged steward asked very respectfully. Su Fang saw that his demeanor was the same as that of the great elder. He didn't even dare to get close and kept a respectful distance. The more curious Su Fang was, the more he asked, "Steward, could it be that I'm a ferocious beast that eats humans?" The middle-aged steward was startled. He smiled bitterly and said, "Could it be that Lord Taoist doesn't know?" "Know what?" "It has been spread throughout the sect. Taoist, you are the bane of the heavenly fate Haotsong sect." Su Fang came to a sudden realization. Because of him, the heavenly fate Haotsong sect cut off all connections with the other worlds. When the higher-ups asked, Mo Wutian's master was punished by the heavens. If this was not a bane, then what was? And a great bane. No wonder the old man with a goatee and the middle-aged steward were so respectful. "I have become a bane?" Su Fang smiled helplessly. The variety and quantity of treasures in the secret vault were extremely shocking. From elixirs to magic treasures, from talismans, there were all kinds of ores, spiritual items, and everything. Due to the large number of treasures, it was impossible to let people choose one by one. Instead, a jade slip with a list of treasures was prepared. The type and use of each treasure was described in detail. He did not lack magic treasures or elixirs. What he was interested in were some treasures of heaven and earth. Therefore, he directly chose from the jade slip of heaven and earth treasures. He activated the jade slip with his magic power. Rays of spiritual light shot out from it, and the images of the treasures of heaven and earth appeared clearly. The heavenly Fate Haotsong sect was worthy of being the #1 force in the immortal world. Although the treasures in the secret vault were not the best, any one of them would be treated as a supreme treasure in the outside world. People would not hesitate to risk their lives to snatch it. Su Fang found many treasures of heaven and earth that were of great help to the cultivation of various true body abilities. For example, treasures such as the Golden Origin Iron Essence and the Deviant Flame Seed were all treasures that Su Fang dreamed of. Su Fang found a very serious problem. There were too many treasures of heaven and earth in the secret vault, but he could only choose one. What could be more painful than this? Su Fang glanced at the middle-aged steward from time to time. His eyes flashed with a hale and hearty luster. It was as if he was going to suppress the middle-aged steward at any time and then rob the secret vault clean. The middle-aged steward was so scared that he left Su Fang far away, fearing that he would really do so. Of course, Su Fang was just thinking about it. Even if he subdued the middle-aged steward, it would be difficult for him to open the seal and enter the secret vault to take the treasures. Moreover, the secret vault of the heavenly Fate Haotsong sect was an important place. No matter how bold Su Fang was, he would not dare to rob the treasure vault. Picking and choosing, Su Fang's eyes were dazzled and he could not make a choice. The middle-aged steward was burning with anxiety. The old man with the goatee repeatedly transmitted his spirit to him. Let the Taoist quickly get the treasures and leave the secret vault. If this jinx stays for a moment longer, I will be frightened. The middle-aged steward braced himself and went forward to urge Su Fang, who knew that Su Fang was not in a hurry and chose one by one. At this rate, he would not be able to find a satisfactory treasure in 3 years. The middle-aged steward was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan, but there was nothing he could do about Su Fang. 3 days later. Hey, what is this? In the spiritual light emitted from the jade slip, there was a picture of a spiritual object. This spiritual object was very strange. It was a fist-sized lump of black-red soil, somewhat like the furnace ash in a pill furnace. The middle-aged steward hurriedly went forward to explain, "Although I don't know the origin or name of this object, it is very extraordinary. It is a peerless treasure from the heavens. The Taoist really has good eyesight. You can see such an extraordinary treasure at a glance." Su Fang carefully examined this unknown lump of black-red soil. Its information was N_1. According to the information, this lump of black-red soil was indeed not an object from the great world. It contained an extremely shocking earth element essence and terrifying fire poison from the heavens. If an ordinary immortal venerable expert was touched by a little, they would lose a layer of skin even if they did not die. If it was not for the terrifying fire poison that turned this lump of black-red soil, which contained the earth element essence of the great world, into a useless wasteland, it would have been taken away by someone long ago instead of being placed in the secret vault. A lump of wasteland from the heavens is called extraordinary? Su Fang coldly glanced at the middle-aged steward. The middle-aged steward trembled and smiled embarrassedly. "I misspoke. Please take your time to choose again, Sir Taoist." Unexpectedly, Su Fang said, "Anyway, I didn't choose a treasure that I am satisfied with. I am interested in this wasteland. Let me see it. This wasteland is extremely poisonous. Even the great elder does not dare to touch it. Since Sir Taoist is interested, I will go and get it immediately." The middle-aged steward originally wanted to persuade Su Fang, but after being glanced at by Su Fang, he hurriedly went to the secret vault. Not long after, the middle-aged steward came out with a stone box in both hands. Trembling with fear, he placed the stone box on the table in the hall. "Sir Taoist, please be careful. Do not touch the wasteland. The middle-aged steward cautioned a few more times. Then, he struck out a seal. Xian Guang shot out from the stone box, and the box lid sprang open automatically. Boom! A black-red flame more than 3 feet high shot out from the stone box. A scorching flame spread out, causing the temperature in the hall to rise abruptly. In an instant, it gave people the feeling that they were inside a treasure-refining cauldron. Sizzle! Sizzle! The poison contained in the flame corroded the air, making sizzling sounds. It looked terrifying. Su Fang first felt that in the purple cloud space deep in his body, the purple cloud Dharma spirit's original spirit was stirring. Then Gui Gui screamed. It was afraid and excited by the poison in the black-red flame. Su Fang was not surprised. He separated a young immortal and entered the purple cloud space. "Azi, do you know about this wasteland? Is it also a spirit treasure?" The purple cloud Dharma spirit's original spirit said, "Master, this wasteland is not a spirit treasure. It is furnace ash from a treasure-refining cauldron." Furnace ash? Su Fang was disappointed. He did not expect that the black-red soil was really furnace ash. "Master, this is not ordinary furnace ash. It is a supreme earth-type spiritual item called extinguishing soil. Azi heard my old master, the heavenly treasure emperor, mention it once, so I remember it. Extinguishing soil." Hearing that it was a treasure, Su Fang's eyes lit up. Extinguishing soil is a divine refining cauldron, and it is not an ordinary divine refining cauldron. After refining countless divine artifacts, the impurities were refined into furnace ash. After countless years of refining in the cauldron, it became a peerless treasure. Extinguishing soil not only contains earth-type essence, but also extremely abundant great pregnant purple qi. It is a great world. It is rare even in the myriad worlds. Master's natal magic treasure only needs to fuse with a fingernail-sized piece to increase its earth-type power by more than 10 times. =_our download address, mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1580. Demon Monkey. The purple cloud Dharma spirit's original soul's words made Su Fang's heart beat rapidly. The purple cloud Dharma spirit needed to devour the great pregnant purple cloud, or the artifact spirit of a Tao artifact, in order to continue to evolve. If the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda's earth-type ability increased by 10 times, how powerful would its earth-type divine might be? Su Fang continued to ask, why would the extinguished soil contain such terrifying fire poison? Azi doesn't know. Logically speaking, the extinguished soil shouldn't contain such fire poison. Perhaps this extinguished soil was refined by a god-tier artifact cauldron into some extremely poisonous spiritual item. That's why it contains such fire poison. Others are afraid of this fire poison, but I'm not. Gui Gui can use this fire poison to improve. This lump of extinguished soil is mine. Su Fang made up his mind. N_R. However, he revealed a disappointed expression. He said to the middle-aged manager, "This extinguished soil is interesting, but it's useless. If I could choose another treasure, I might choose it. Sigh. I have to continue choosing. I don't know how many years I'll have to spend before I can choose a treasure I like." The middle-aged manager was about to keep the extinguished soil when the goateed elder sent another message. "Let him take this useless extinguished soil. Let him choose another treasure. Hurry up and chase this jinx away." The middle-aged manager said enthusiastically, "Since Master Tao disciple is interested in this extinguished soil, why don't you choose it? I'll make the decision. Master Tao disciple can choose another treasure. However, you have to choose quickly." "Thank you very much." Su Fang cupped his fists and thanked him. He immediately chose a golden origin iron essence that was the size of an adult's fist. Then, he left in embarrassment. The goateed elder and the middle-aged manager, who had been paying attention to Su Fang, heaved a long sigh of relief. It was as if they had sent off a plague. Once he returned to the main peak of the silent great star, Su Fang immediately entered his cave abode, and came to the true dragon realm. Golden Origin Iron Essence. Su Fang took out a piece of Golden Origin Iron Essence that he had just obtained from his storage ring. The metal source was a precious metal element treasure in the Iron Mother Great World. It contained pure and abundant metal element essence, and was the supreme treasure Su Fang used to cultivate the non-phase Golden Dipper body. Unlike the Gold Origin Mother Steel he obtained from the Silent Great Star's treasury, this Gold Origin Mother Steel was much smaller, but it was golden in color. Its quality was much higher than the one he obtained last time. Otherwise, it wouldn't have ended up in the Heaven's Fate Haotsong Sect's treasury. Su Fang was confident that his amorphous Golden Dipper body would be upgraded to another level after devouring the Golden Origin Mother Steel. However, what Su Fang valued the most was still the extinguishing soil. After putting away the Golden Origin Mother Steel, Su Fang took out the stone box that contained the quenching soil. Opening the seal on the stone box, the extinguishing soil emitted a black-red flame, releasing an astonishing fire and fire poison. "Gui Gui, you can't wait any longer, right? Come out." Su Fang sensed that Gui Gui was restless in his body and immediately released it. Whoosh! Gui Gui pounced on the extinguishing soil, but as soon as it got close to the stone box, it immediately shrank back. It was obviously afraid of the flames and fire poison of the extinguishing soil. Su Fang smiled slightly and released the power of the yin-yang world, stripping out a black-red poison gas thinner than a hair from the flames. The fire poison in the extinguishing soil was extremely terrifying. An ordinary cultivator's true qi could incinerate and corrode it, but Su Fang's yin-yang world had no qualms about it. Gui Gui leaped up and sucked the poison gas into its body. Roar! Gui Gui let out a roar full of pain and excitement. Obviously, the fire poison in the extinguishing soil was not an easy task for it. Whoosh! Gui Gui's physical body shattered and turned into a black-red pool of blood, swallowing the fire poison in the form of the yellow spring blood sea. Just like that, Su Fang peeled off the fire poison in the extinguishing soil bit by bit and let Gui Gui devour it. It took Su Fang 3 years to remove all the fire poison. The flames released by the extinguishing soil turned dark red, no longer black red. After swallowing a large amount of fire poison, Gui Gui continued to fuse with the fire poison in the form of the yellow spring blood sea. Although the surface area of the blood water Gui Gui turned into did not change, the toxicity became more shocking. Su Fang estimated that Gui Gui's poison was a fatal threat to mid-level Dao realm immortal venerables. Then Su Fang activated the purple Qi Dharma spirit and released the artifact spirit. A purple Xian Guang flashed out and swept across the extinguishing soil, rolling out a strong purple gas from it. Then, the purple Xian Guang brought it back to the purple Qi space in the depths of Su Fang's body. The great pregnant purple Qi contained in the extinguishing soil was born when refining divine artifact. It was difficult to find in the great world. Although there was not much great pregnant purple Qi in the extinguishing soil, it must have undergone another transformation after being devoured by the purple Qi Dharma spirit. The extinguishing soil that had lost its toxicity was no longer dangerous. Su Fang separated a consciousness to sense the interior of the extinguishing soil. Boom! As if entering the soil that had been burned red, his consciousness sensed a shocking amount of fire and earth energy. Su Fang had the illusion that his whole body was burned to ashes. The extinguishing soil not only contains the essence of earth, but also the power of fire that has been burned by the artifact spirit for countless years. If I use this power to cultivate, not only will Fire Cloud Emperor undergo a transformation, he might even be able to form a Yang Meridian. Fire poison, great pregnant purple Qi, earth essence, and fire energy. This extinguishing soil that looks like a wasteland is simply a rare treasure. I've picked up a treasure this time. Su Fang was so happy that he could not close his mouth. I wonder where this extinguishing soil came from. How did it appear in the great world? Su Fang could not help but be curious about the origin of the extinguishing soil. Unexpectedly, at this moment, there was a boom. Su Fang's consciousness sensed a consciousness from the extinguishing soil and turned into a consciousness image. He saw a flaming man struggling inside a cauldron that was constantly spewing out shocking flames. He roared in an inhuman manner. The violent roar gave Su Fang a feeling that shook the heavens and made Su Fang's heart palpitate. It was not a man made of fire, but a demon monkey. Even in the midst of the flames, one could still see the unruliness and anger in its eyes. Even with such astonishing flames, it was difficult to incinerate its body, let alone shake its will. Chi. The interior of the cauldron began spewing out black smoke that fused with the flames, forming a shocking poisonous fire that constantly corroded and burned the demon monkey's body. At this moment, the demon monkey could no longer hold on. Its body began to melt layer by layer. Heavenly fire, divine Lord, I'd rather die than submit to you. Boom. The demon monkey's body suddenly exploded as a terrifying aura surged into the cauldron. The cauldron exploded and turned into a ball of fire. It was as though the entire world was burning. Su Fang's consciousness that entered the extinguishing soil also shattered with a loud bang. So it was a deity who planned to use a divine cauldron to refine the demon monkey. Who knew that the demon monkey would self-destruct before dying, destroying the cauldron along with it. Su Fang roughly guessed the origin of the extinguishing soil from the consciousness image. He was shocked and aghast. The demon monkey's violence and unruliness echoed in his mind for a long time, shaking his soul. Following that, Su Fang stripped the fire elemental energy from the extinguishing soil layer by layer and used the power of the yin-yang world to seal it into a runic symbol. The fire elemental energy came from a divine artifact. Su Fang planned on using any fire elemental power of nature in a great world to break through the 46th yang meridian, but now was not the time. At this moment, he had hundreds of thousands of vast yang pills and many fire elemental spiritual items. He used the pills and spiritual items to cultivate the 9 yang 9 transformations. When the yang force accumulated to a certain extent, he could use the fire elemental energy from the extinguishing soil to break through the yang meridian. This way, the birth of a yang meridian would be easy. Xian Wang, come out! At this moment, Su Fang activated the Xian Wang 6 Paths Pagoda and fused it with his body. Then, he released his divine might to absorb the earth elemental essence from the extinguishing soil. Qi, 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 qi. Gray Xianguang was absorbed by Su Fang through his palm before being absorbed by the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda. This natal magic treasure was so excited that it could not stop trembling, as if it was enjoying a feast that it had never enjoyed before. On the Destiny platform, the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda had absorbed a large amount of earth elemental essence, and was on the verge of being promoted to a royal-grade Dao artifact. At this moment, it was absorbing the earth elemental essence from the extinguishing soil. It was not even the size of the purple cloud Dharma spirit's estimated fingernail, but it immediately had an earth-shattering reaction. Master, I'm about to be promoted to a royal-grade Dao artifact. The earth elemental essence is enough, but the other natural essences are still lacking. The Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda's excited voice came. Still lacking? Let me give you a hand. Su Fang immediately placed the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda into the heavenly creation cauldron. Then, he placed the other spiritual items, including the golden origin iron essence, into the heavenly creation cauldron and poured them into the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda to help the natal magic treasure make the final breakthrough. When the natal magic treasure was promoted to a royal-grade Dao artifact, Su Fang's natal divine power would also skyrocket. As for how much it would increase, Su Fang could not estimate it for the time being. Only a small amount of the extinguishing soil was consumed. There was still so much left that the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda could not absorb it in a short time. How to deal with it? Su Fang had a headache. If Law was not asleep, he could ask him. With Law's knowledge, he would definitely be able to use this extinguishing soil to its fullest potential. I don't know when Law will wake up, and if he will be injured when he wakes up. Thinking of Law sacrificing himself and helping at a critical moment, Su Fang was touched. I haven't entered the Origin Sacred Mirror for a long time. Let's go and ask that mysterious senior. Ever since the Jihong Immortal Venerable took the initiative to take in a disciple, the mysterious woman had asked Su Fang to agree. After that, Su Fang entered the treasure mirror's space. The mysterious woman never appeared again, which made Su Fang feel very strange. This mysterious woman must have some connection with the Jihong Immortal Venerable. At the very least, they knew each other. Su Fang peeled off a Yang Immortal and seeped into the mirror. He entered the Origin Sacred Mirror and came to the mysterious Crimson Divine Artifact space. Su Fang was surprised to find that although the flying speed in the Divine Artifact space was not as fast as flying on a sword between heaven and earth, it was several times easier than before. Obviously, it was because the 9 Yang 9 transformations had reached the 5th transformation and the Yang Qi had increased. After releasing his will and Yang Qi, Su Fang waited slowly. _our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1581. Luo's aura. This time, Su Fang was not disappointed. Not long after he entered the Divine Artifact space, a familiar 9 Frost aura swept out from the depths of the void. It swept into the primordial chaos sacred realm out of thin air. I never expected you to have cultivated 18 Yang meridians and reached the 5th transformation. Congratulations! It looks like you have been working hard in your cultivation all these years. Why are you looking for me? I don't have much time. The familiar mysterious woman's voice sounded leisurely. Su Fang said respectfully, Senior, I unintentionally obtained a treasure called Extinguishing Soil. I wonder what it can be used for. The mysterious woman's voice was clearly taken aback as she asked, Extinguishing Soil? What's that? Su Fang never expected the omniscient mysterious woman to have something she did not know. He could not help but be surprised. The mysterious woman seemed to read Su Fang's mind as she said indifferently, In the 3 realms there are all sorts of treasures and spiritual items. How can I know all of them? Su Fang condensed an image with his mind and displayed the extinguishing soil. Then, he recounted the origins of the extinguishing soil that the purple cloud Dharma spirit had mentioned, as well as the mental images contained within the extinguishing soil. Heavenly Fire Divine Lord, Demon Monkey. I see. The mysterious woman was enlightened. Su Fang's mind jolted. Senior, you know of Heavenly Fire Divine Lord and Demon Monkey? In ancient times, a peerless demon monkey ran amok in the myriad worlds. He wreaked havoc in the divine world and destroyed it. Later on, this demon monkey, who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth, actually challenged a supreme celestial Dharch of the divine world. As a result, it was suppressed. Heavenly Fire Divine Lord was asked to refine it using the divine artifact cauldron in an attempt to force it to submit. Who knew that the demon monkey would be so unruly? After being refined in the cauldron for millions of years, it self-detonated at the moment of its death, perishing together with the divine artifact cauldron. This matter is widely known in the myriad world. It is still being spread to this day, and has been arranged into various versions of the story. I naturally know some of it. I never expected that the ashes of the divine artifact cauldron's explosion would end up in a great world and end up in your hands. Although this demon monkey is arrogant, it is unyielding. I admire it greatly. It is a pity that it ended up like this. This piece of furnace ash, which you call extinguishing earth, contains the essence of earth from all the worlds in the universe. It's a rare treasure even in the universe. Since you've obtained it, It means that it's your opportunity. Don't waste it. The mysterious woman spoke slowly, and her tone was filled with emotion. Su Fang was filled with admiration for the demon monkey. He then asked, "What is the use of this piece of extinguishing soil? If I were to refine it into a spirit treasure, its power would be extraordinary, but it would be a pity. Tell me about your current cultivation situation, and I'll see if I can make use of it." Su Fang told the mysterious woman everything about his cultivation realm, the abilities of his various true bodies, the heaven and earth Tao Palace, the world tree, the Yang Meridian, and so on. In fact, he couldn't hide anything. With the mysterious woman's strength, she could easily see through him. "You actually managed to cultivate out a world tree?" The mysterious woman's voice was filled with shock. Su Fang was a little nervous. "Senior, is there something wrong?" "There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, I'm very surprised. The true essence of cultivation is to cultivate oneself into a world. However, there are thousands of great Daos in the world of cultivation, and the worlds cultivated are all different. However, there is one thing in common, and that is that most cultivators, including the supreme experts who stand at the peak of the God realm, cultivate their own worlds as part of the universe. You cultivate the 9 Yang 9 transformations. What you cultivate is the supreme heavenly Tao, the universe of heaven and earth. Your world tree, on the other hand, evolves the 6 forces of nature and the laws of heaven and earth in the void of the universe of heaven and earth. In this way, your world will be a complete world like the real universe of heaven and earth. If you can reach the peak of the world of cultivation, your achievements will be unimaginable. Even I can't predict it. Su Fang's current cultivation base was far lower than the mysterious woman's. Her words made Su Fang feel dizzy, but he couldn't ask anything. He could only stand there and listen with a silly smile. "You really surprise me. I didn't expect you to grow to such a height in just a few thousand years. It won't be long before you and I can meet again." The mysterious woman's voice was filled with amazement and joy that had never been there before. Using the 6 forces of nature as a foundation to cultivate a world tree. Your idea is not bad. You already have the 2 mature wood and fire true bodies, and you've also cultivated the lightning and metal true bodies. What you lack are the earth and water true bodies. I don't have an earth true body cultivation method either. However, you can temporarily let the world tree absorb this piece of extinguished soil. In this way, the world tree will obtain the earth essence and grow faster. Your heavenly Tao Palace will also become more stable and heavy. You can only slowly search for an earth true body cultivation method in the future. I understand. Thank you for your guidance, Senior. Su Fang cupped his fists and thanked her. Then, he couldn't help but ask, "Senior, my master, the Ji-Hong Immortal Lord. I know what you want to ask." The Ji-Hong Immortal Lord did come from the God realm and had some connections with me in the past. It's enough that you know this. Knowing more won't do you any good. Don't ask again in the future. Whoosh! Just as the mysterious woman finished speaking, the 9 Yin cold chi suddenly swept into the crimson world and disappeared completely. This master of mine and this mysterious senior of his are not simple characters. After Su Fang sighed, the Yang Immortal immediately flew out of the origin sacred realm. After returning to his main body, Su Fang immediately absorbed the extinguished soil in the stone box into his body and sent it into the heavenly Tao Palace. Something that Su Fang didn't expect happened. The world tree suddenly released a shocking suction force and sucked the extinguished soil to the bottom. Chi. Roots extended wildly from the bottom of the world tree and took root in the extinguished soil. They began to absorb the earth essence in a frenzy and then turned it into the power of the yin-yang world. It flowed from the yang meridian to his entire body and formed a cycle. Although he couldn't see the growth of the world tree, Su Fang could sense that the world tree's growth had more than doubled after absorbing the earth essence. The growth of the World Tree not only allowed Su Fang to communicate with nature and absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth at a speed that nearly doubled, but his dragon-subduing true body, Black Lotus true body, Fire Cloud Emperor body, and Faceless Golden Dipper body had also undergone changes. Su Fang felt that the World Tree was no longer a rootless tree, but a tree that grew in the soil. Moreover, the heavenly Tao Palace also had a thick and extensive divinity. If he had an earth true body cultivation method, Su Fang estimated that it wouldn't take long for his earth true body to reach an extremely high level or even complete maturity. After all, the extinguished soil was a supreme treasure from the great world. It wasn't something that the great world's treasures of heaven and earth could compare to. Earth nourishes and bears all things in the world. The earth essence can accelerate the growth of the World Tree. I still need to find more earth-type phase and absorb more earth-type essence. The purple cloud Dharma spirit had undergone another transformation, and his natal magic treasure was about to become a king-grade Tao weapon. The heavenly Tao Palace and the World Tree were also rapidly improving. Gui Gui's strength would also skyrocket. As a result, Su Fang's strength had once again increased greatly. He would have more power to protect himself in the catastrophe. Su Fang was overjoyed with such a bountiful harvest. He was even grateful to Mo Wutian's master. If it weren't for him, how would he have the chance to enter the heavenly fate Hao Tsang Sek's secret vault and obtain the extinguished soil? Su Fang flew out of the true dragon realm and left the silent great star. With the identity of a Tao disciple, it would be a waste if he didn't use it. Su Fang went to the heavenly fate Hao Tsang Sek's resource palace and obtained 100 years' worth of resources in advance. He could now enjoy the same treatment as the great elder. How shocking would 100 years' worth of resources be when added up? After returning to the main peak of the silent great star, Su Fang announced that he would go into seclusion and begin a long period of cultivation. True Dragon Realm. After forming the seal, Su Fang's physical body shattered. He transformed into the Yellow Springs Blood Sea and devoured the Golden Origin Steel Core. The Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda had only consumed less than a third of the Golden Origin Steel Core when it was upgraded to a king-grade Tao weapon. The remaining was used to cultivate the formless Golden Dipper body. After that, Su Fang separated his blood and water clones from the Yellow Springs Blood Sea and cultivated the 9 Yang 9 transformations, the Heavenly Fate Life Shrinking Technique, the Ethereal Truth, and other cultivation techniques at the same time. At the same time, Su Fang distributed the resources in his hands without hesitation. The cultivation resources enjoyed by the more than 300,000 cultivators and Big Goblin under him were better than the official disciples of the heavenly fate Hao Tsang sect. On the other hand, the Big Goblin like Bai Ling, Zhu Huang, Tong Tian Demon Venerable, and other experts like Old Monster Zhu Tian and enlightened being Peng Hua enjoyed even less resources than the special disciples. Time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, 300 years had passed. During this period, the purple cloud Dharma spirit devoured the great pregnant purple cloud in the extinguishing soil and grew stronger again. Then, the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda was successfully upgraded to a king-grade Tao weapon. After that, it was Gui Gui. After devouring the fire poison in the extinguishing soil, it grew to a level that even Su Fang was wary of. In particular, its poison had the additional burning and corrosive properties of the fire poison, making it extremely powerful. The Big Goblin and cultivators under Su Fang continued to improve during these 300 years, causing Su Fang's overall strength to increase continuously. Every few days there would be a Big Goblin or a breakthrough in cultivation, and there would be a constant stream of 9 heavenly tribulations. As for Su Fang himself, when he reached the 200th year of cultivation, he devoured the vast Yang pill and used the fire energy extracted from the extinguishing soil to successfully break through the 46th Yang meridian. Under the state of constantly devouring various pills, spiritual items, and resources, His various true body's abilities also improved greatly. His cultivation realm also finally rose to the peak of the 9 paths of the Saint Immortal realm. Such an improvement was astonishing. However, in the face of a catastrophe that could destroy the great world, Su Fang still felt that his strength was insufficient. If time permitted, he would go into seclusion for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. When Su Fang was in seclusion, Zhang Ruoyun often visited him. Every time, she returned disappointed, but she still persevered and came every few days. On this day, an uninvited guest came, forcing Su Fang to stop his cultivation. "Heavenly Lord Xian Shu wants to see you?" "No." In the past, Su Fang and Heavenly Lord Xian Shu had a life-and-death grudge. However, with Su Fang's current status and strength, he no longer cared about this person and could eliminate him at any time. He did not expect him to take the initiative to seek an audience. Naturally, Su Fang would not meet Heavenly Lord Xian Shu. However, Heavenly Lord Xian Shu did not give up and asked Zi Satin to send a rune talisman into the cave abode. Buzz, there was an aura in the rune talisman. After Su Fang sensed it with his perfected ability, his divine light changed instantly. Luo's aura? No. =_our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1582. The blood qi sealed in the rune talisman was exactly the same as Law's under Su Fang's great perfection ability. Su Fang mistakenly thought it was Law's qi equals n_r. Law was sleeping in the blood jade in his body. The rune talisman sent by Lord of Xian Shu contained Law's blood qi. The only possibility was that he had another blood jade. However, Su Fang used the life-shrinking technique to sense it. He sensed a fate qi that was completely different from Law's in this blood qi. The Tao runes of fate flickered in his divine aperture and finally condensed into a figure in blood. The figure looked like it was cast in blood and looked very similar to Law. However, upon closer inspection, Su Fang found the difference between this figure of fate and Law. Law looked to be in his 20s. He had sword-like eyebrows and a square face full of curly hair. He had a bold and rough temperament. However, this figure in blood red was a middle-aged man in his 40s. He gave off a creepy and eerie feeling and was extremely powerful. Although he judged that this breath did not come from Law, Su Fang's head was still buzzing and his scalp was numb. This person is most likely from Law's clan. How can Lord of Xian Shu have the blood qi of Law's clan? Why did he come to see me? Su Fang was shocked. He immediately walked out of his cave abode and came to the reception hall of the main peak. "Greetings, Taoist." Lord of Xian Shu saw Su Fang and quickly knelt down on one knee to greet him. Su Fang was the Taoist of Tianming Haotsong sect. Whether it was in name or not, his status was there. Even the great elder had to bow to him. Lord of Xian Shu was just a disciple of Xian Lin Taoist sect. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. He naturally had to bow to Su Fang. Once upon a time, Su Fang was just an ant in desolate immortal region in the eyes of Lord of Xian Shu. He could easily suppress him. At this moment, seeing that Su Fang had to bow to him and that his life was in Su Fang's hands, one could imagine how Heavenly Lord Xian Shu felt. Looking down at Heavenly Lord Xian Shu, Su Fang sighed in his heart. At that time, Lord Xian Shu was like a mountain that Su Fang had to look up to. It was difficult to surpass. At this moment, Su Fang had already reached a higher peak. When he looked back at Lord of Heaven Xian Shu's peak, it could no longer be called a peak. It was just a stumbling block on the way. Cultivation was just like that. You would constantly climb one peak after another, and when you looked back, you would find that the peak you once thought was unreachable was actually so insignificant. Su Fang said indifferently, "Get up. What do you want from me?" Heavenly Lord Xian Shu didn't get up. He said shakily, "I was blind in the past and offended you, Taoist. I've always felt uneasy. I'm here to apologize." Apologize? What are you going to use to apologize? Su Fang said coldly. In the past, he had almost died in the hands of this person. Even the 5 small worlds were almost destroyed by him and Feng Wuzi. If there was a chance, Su Fang would naturally kill him without hesitation. However, it was inconvenient to do so in Tianming Haotsong sect. I know that I can't be forgiven, so I didn't dare to come and apologize. I know that Taoist child is determined to obtain the blood-colored immortal stone. In order to appease Taoist child's anger, I inquired from many places and thought of 1,000 ways. Finally, I found the whereabouts of a blood-colored immortal stone. Su Fang's eyes flashed sharply. How did you know I was looking for the blood-colored immortal stone? That time, Feng Wuzi and I joined forces to attack Taoist. My original body was suppressed by Taoist, and then Taoist used soul search. I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know what Taoist wanted to know from my memories. After the summit competition, Taoist chose the blood-colored immortal stone as a reward. Only then did I realize that Taoist used soul search on me because he wanted to know the whereabouts of the blood-colored jade. Su Fang was shocked. He thought that he had chosen the blood-colored jade very secretly and hid it from everyone. He didn't expect Heavenly Lord Xian Shu to see through it and connect it to the soul search on his original body. From the looks of it, no one dared to look down on him. Even if it was a small figure who looked insignificant, he might appear at any time and take a bite out of him. Su Fang asked, "Let me ask you, where did you get the aura of the blood-colored immortal stone?" In the past, that blood-colored immortal stone was obtained by an ordinary disciple of Xian Lin Taoist sect who entered a dangerous place called Sun Luo Wild Abyss. Therefore, for more than 200 years, I didn't hesitate to use up all the wealth I had accumulated and issued a mission in the sect. I invited fellow disciples to enter Sun Luo Wild Abyss many times to search and see if they were lucky enough to find the other broken part of the blood-colored immortal stone. Just a few days ago, a fellow disciple indeed found a similar blood-colored immortal stone in the depths of Sun Luo Wild Abyss. However, that place was extremely dangerous. With his strength, he couldn't bring it out at all. He could only barely obtain the aura of the blood-colored immortal stone. I didn't dare to delay, so I came to inform Taoist that I am willing to personally lead the way to Sun Luo Wild Abyss and help Taoist find that blood-colored immortal stone. With Taoist strength, it would be easy for you to break the seal and obtain the blood-colored immortal stone. I hope Taoist won't pursue my sins in the future. Su Fang raised his eyebrows. Sun Luo Wild Abyss? Lord of Heaven Xian Shu hurriedly replied, Sun Luo Wild Abyss is a barren land. It was opened as a trial ground by the sect. Although it is extremely dangerous, it is only for ordinary disciples. For Taoist, it is nothing. Su Fang's deep eyes flashed with coldness. He revealed a bright smile and said, "Thank you for your trouble. If you can find a blood-colored immortal stone, not only will I not pursue your sins, but I will also reward you handsomely. You go. Wait a few days for me to prepare, then we will immediately leave for Sun Luo Wild Abyss." Thank you, Taoist, for your magnanimity. Xian Shu was wild with joy. After repeatedly thanking him, she got up and left. Su Fang sat quietly for a while. Then his figure flashed and he left the main hall. He followed Lord of Heaven Xian Shu from afar. He activated his great perfection ability and used the life-shrinking technique at the same time. A sensing force locked onto Lord of Heaven Xian Shu. Lord of Heaven Xian Shu couldn't detect his existence, but he could clearly sense Lord of Heaven Xian Shu's every move. If only my second primordial spirit was here. I can use Night Demon's method to control Xian Shu's consciousness. It would be hard to hide any schemes. Su Fang suddenly thought of his second primordial spirit. Whoosh! Lord of Heaven Xian Shu flew out of Jihong Dojo and came to a floating fragment in the void. Other than Tianyi Dojo in Tianming Celestial Land, The other 80 dojos in Tianming Haotsong sect were actually galaxies formed by 80 stars. There were countless floating fragments in the galaxies. Lord of Heaven Xian Shu hid on a fragment and created a formation. Even high-level Tao realm cultivators wouldn't be able to sense his existence if they didn't purposely check. An ant from the barren immortal region dares to put on airs in front of me, Xian Shu? This time, I'll make sure you die without a burial place. Lord of Heaven Xian Shu snorted and formed a Dharma seal. From his Xian Guang, a shadow of the primordial spirit of divine furnace holy man appeared. The primordial spirit of divine furnace holy man said in a majestic voice, Xian Shu, what's the matter? Didn't I tell you not to contact me if there's nothing important? If it's not important, I won't let you off easily this time. What kind of status did Holy Man Divine Furnace have? If not for the fact that Lord of Heaven Xian Shu was still useful, he wouldn't even have the right to talk to him. I have something important to report to Lord Divine Furnace Holy Man. It's related to Su Fang. Su Fang, Divine Cauldron Holy Master's eyes suddenly shone with a hearty light. Tell me. Yes. Just like that, the two started to communicate. After half an hour, Lord of Heaven Xian Shu left the fragment and went straight to Xian Lin Dojo. A moment later, in the void thousands of miles away, Su Fang flew out of a fragment with a face full of shock. I didn't expect Tao Venerable Divine Furnace to know that I have a purple aura Dharma spirit. No wonder I could sense killing intent from him. I'm in trouble now. I also didn't expect that Venerable Xianlin planned to make a move on me. He used the news of the Blood Jade as bait to try to lure me out of the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect and set a trap to kill me. I'm afraid Venerable Xianlin also didn't expect that Lord of Heaven Xian Shu would actually betray him. Strange, where did Venerable Xianlin get an aura similar to Luo's? Moreover, he even tried to snatch the 2 blood jades from me. What's his goal? The conversation between Lord of Heaven Xian Shu and Divine Furnace Holy Man was clearly understood by Su Fang, who used the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique and his perfected sensing ability. However, Lord of Heaven Xian Shu also didn't know why Venerable Xianlin wanted to kill Su Fang. He only knew that his goal was the 2 blood jades on Su Fang. Venerable Xianlin, Tao Venerable Divine Furnace. One wants to snatch the blood jades, while the other wants to obtain the purple aura Dharma spirit. They really treat me, Su Fang, as a weakling. Fortunately, I have grasped the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique and can sense anyone's fate aura. Otherwise, I would have really been deceived by this aura that Venerable Xianlin took out and ended up falling into his trap. In addition to Tao Venerable Divine Furnace, I would really be in danger at that time. You want to kill me, Su Fang? Su Fang's eyes exuded coldness. After a moment of silence, Su Fang's deep eyes flashed with ruthlessness and decisiveness. Since Tao Venerable Divine Furnace and Venerable Xianlin want to kill me, then I might as well kill the 2 of them together to resolve future troubles. Su Fang's cold voice sounded. Tao Venerable Divine Furnace was the great elder of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. Moreover, he was also a master artifact refiner. His artifact refinement skills were considered top-notch in the Great World, and his cultivation realm had reached the high level of the Tao realm. Being targeted by such a powerful figure, Su Fang felt threatened at all times. He had to get rid of him as soon as possible. As for Venerable Xianlin, it was related to Luo's matter. Su Fang naturally wouldn't let him off and asked him about the whole story. == Our download address. Phone reading, book review. Chapter 1583. In terms of cultivation realm, Su Fang was only at the 9th Saint Immortal realm. In the Great World, he could be considered a peerless immortal emperor. However, compared to immortal Venerable Xianlin, a mid-stage Tao realm powerhouse, and Tao Venerable Divine Furnace, a high-level Tao realm powerhouse, the difference in cultivation realm was no different from the difference between heaven and earth. Moreover, these two immortal venerables were important figures of the number one faction of the immortal Tao, the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. Their true combat strength was definitely not something that the ordinary immortal venerables Su Fang had killed before could compare to. Su Fang actually planned to kill these two peerless figures together. How much confidence and courage did this require? His personality was like this. No matter who it was, as long as they stretched out their claws towards him, he would not hesitate to cut off the enemy's claws. If the other party was too strong, Su Fang might have been able to endure for a period of time. But this time, he couldn't drag this out any longer. Law's aura made Su Fang feel that a huge danger was approaching. He had to figure out what the danger was as soon as possible. Although Dao Venerable Divine Furnace and Dao Venerable Xianlin are powerful, if we plan well, it's not impossible. There's no need to ask Master to take action. After thinking for a long time, Su Fang revealed a determined expression. When it came to law, Su Fang did not want to implicate immortal Venerable Ji Hong. After making up his mind, Su Fang tore through the air and headed straight for Haotsong Sky City. The enemy he was facing this time was too powerful. He had to make thorough preparations in advance. At the very least, he had to find out the strength of Dao Venerable Divine Furnace and Immortal Venerable Xianlin. Half a month later, Su Fang passed through the spatial array formation of Ji Hong's star and arrived at a piece of material outside the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu, who had been waiting here for a long time, welcomed him. Daozi, you are indeed trustworthy. I will bring you to the Sunluo desolate abyss now. Let's go, Su Fang said indifferently. Then, he took out a bronze mask. As soon as the mask was put on his face, it immediately squirmed and merged with his face. It looked like there was an additional face on his face, giving off a cold and stiff feeling. This bronze mask was purchased by Su Fang in Hao Tian City, specially prepared for this trip to Sun Luo Desolate Abyss. The bronze mask was a Dao artifact of the highest grade. It could cover one's face and block the power of perception. Even high-level Dao realm experts could not see Su Fang's face clearly. Moreover, there was an extremely rare primordial spirit gem on the mask. After wearing the mask, it would have a powerful defensive ability of the divine aperture. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu asked in surprise, Daoist, what are you? I don't want to expose my identity to avoid unnecessary trouble, Su Fang said indifferently. Their goal in heading to the Sunluo Desolate Abyss this time was to kill Dao Venerable Divine Furnace and Immortal Venerable Xianlin. They were important figures of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. Once they died, the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect would definitely do their best to investigate. How could Su Fang leave behind any clues? Daoist is truly wise. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu said respectfully. However, there was a trace of undetectable murderous intent in his eyes. He sneered in his heart. I was worried that the sect would investigate after I killed you. You actually took the initiative to cover your face. You're really courting death. After flying for a while, the two came to a huge object and left the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect through a space array. 3 days after the two left, deep in the Heaven's Mandate celestial land, an elder in a purple robe came out of the void. He had a profound aura. It was Dao Master Shenlu. It's really hard to do anything in the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. I didn't expect Xianlin to do me a big favor. What kind of supreme spirit treasure is the purple cloud Dharma spirit? What right does an insignificant ant have to have it? The purple cloud Dharma spirit will definitely be mine. With such a supreme spirit treasure, I'll break through my current cultivation level and step onto the peak. There's even hope of breaking through the peak and going to the end of the large world. Divine Cauldron Holy Master's eyes sparkled with excitement and anticipation. Then, his figure flickered and he disappeared into the void. Sunluo Wild Abyss equals N_R. Between the two planes of the immortal world, at the edge of the central immortal domain, was a shattered space created by the power of nature. It contained all kinds of mysterious forces of nature. The bottom of the Sunluo wild abyss was a bottomless abyss that immortals couldn't enter. There were dangers everywhere, and there were also powerful creatures called wild beasts. Even a saint immortal would have a slim chance of survival if they entered the abyss. Wild beasts lived in harsh environments and had very strong bodies. Their bones and hides could be used to refine magic treasures, and their spirit pearls could be used to refine pills. It could be said that their entire body was a treasure. Therefore, the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect used the Sunluo Wild Abyss as a training ground for their disciples. Large groups of disciples entered the Wild Abyss every day to train and cultivate. There were more than a dozen large worlds between the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect and the Sunluo Wild Abyss. Even a saint immortal would need more than 200 years to travel from the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect to the Sunluo Wild Abyss. To facilitate the training of their disciples, the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect created a space array. This way, it would only take a little more than 3 months. The Sunluo Wild Abyss, the huge abyss that stretched for hundreds of thousands of miles, looked like a canyon between two mountain ranges. However, there was a shocking airflow that constantly swept through the abyss. It was as if there was a huge monster at the bottom of the abyss that was constantly absorbing all matter and energy in nature. Two figures appeared on a mountain range on one side of the Sunluo Wild Abyss. Both of them wore black robes that covered their entire bodies. They also wore cloaks on their heads, making it difficult to see their faces. Their auras were vague, making it even harder to determine their cultivation realms. Immediately, a Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect cultivator stationed here came forward and asked, "Which dojo's disciple are you from? Show your identity token immediately." Scram! The black-robed man waved his sleeve, and a shocking lightning-type divine might swept out. The Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect cultivator who came forward to question him was sent flying more than 100 feet away. He staggered when he landed on the ground, but he wasn't injured. There were more than 100 Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect cultivators stationed on the mountain range. When they saw the black-robed man's shocking strength, none of them dared to step forward. "Lord of Thunder Night Island, don't expose your strength." A black-robed man transmitted his essence soul to the person who attacked. "Xianlin, why are you still so cautious when dealing with a junior at the Nine Dao Saint Immortal Realm? As long as you lure Su Fang out of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect, you can just directly kill him. Why is there a need to go through so much trouble?" The black-robed man who attacked just now was the Lord of Thunder Night Island. As for the other black-robed man, he was Immortal Xianlin. In order to kill Su Fang, not only did Immortal Xianlin deliberately lure Su Fang into the Sunluo Wild Abyss, but he also invited a peerless powerhouse. Coincidentally, the powerhouse he invited was the Lord of Thunder Night Island. Lord of Thunder Night Island, don't underestimate Su Fang. Not only is he talented and has extraordinary strength, but he is also protected by the heavenly Tao. If you attack him, you will be punished by the heavens. Therefore, I lured him into a shattered spacetime like the Sunluo Wild Abyss. Not only can I ensure that no news of this matter will be leaked, but I can also isolate the senses of the heavenly Tao and not be punished by the heavenly Tao. Heavenly punishment. The Lord of Thunder Night Island wasn't afraid at all. The matter of Mo Wutian's master had long spread. Although many people were a little skeptical, no one dared to try it easily. Even a high-level Tao realm powerhouse was as insignificant as an ant in front of the punishment of the heavenly Tao. The Lord of Thunder Night Island then spoke with a cold primordial spirit voice. "Xianlin, according to the previous agreement, after killing Su Fang, the treasures on his body will be divided equally between the two of us. The Xianming Lightning Archive must belong to me. If you go back on your word at that time, don't blame me for being ruthless." Immortal Xianlin replied, I am determined to obtain the blood jade on Su Fang. The other treasures are secondary. I am also not interested in the Xianming Lightning Archive. Don't worry. Su Fang killed one of my clones. This time, it's a good time to settle the old score. Let's go. Su Fang and Xian Shu are almost here. In order to ensure that nothing goes wrong, let's go to the bottom of the abyss to make some arrangements first. The two of them directly entered the abyss and disappeared into the vortex. The cultivators of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect stationed in the Sunluo desolate abyss began to discuss. 2 days later, Heavenly Lord Xian Shu and Su Fang arrived outside the Sunluo desolate abyss. Xian Shu, are you planning to bring me into the Sunluo desolate abyss to train? Heavenly Lord Xian Shu had come to the Sunluo desolate abyss many times in the past to train and recognized one of the cultivators of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. As soon as he saw him, he immediately went forward to greet him. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu nodded and said, "Yes. Be careful. 2 days ago, 2 peerless powerhouses entered the abyss. I don't know which faction they come from. Don't offend them. It's very simple to kill a few cultivators in the Sunluo desolate abyss," the cultivator reminded kindly. 2 powerhouses? Could it be that Venerable Xianlin invited other powerhouses to help? Under the bronze mask, Su Fang's brows furrowed. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's expression changed. He was afraid that Su Fang would become suspicious, so he immediately said indifferently, "In the past, powerhouses from other factions often entered the Sunluo desolate abyss to hunt for desolate beasts. What's so strange about 2 of them coming this time? As long as we don't take the initiative to provoke them, would they dare to attack the disciples of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect? Let's go." Su Fang smiled embarrassedly and flew out side by side with Heavenly Lord Xian Shu, entering the terrifying vortex of air. A cold and desolate aura came head-on. Shocking shackles seemed to stick to them. The air currents of the abyss carried the 2 of them all the way to the bottom, as if they were weightless. Along the way, Su Fang and Heavenly Lord Xian Shu also encountered some disciples of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect, who had entered the Sunluo abyss to train. However, they were all wary of each other and didn't communicate much. With Su Fang and Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's cultivation at the 9th Dao realm, the air currents in the upper part of the abyss couldn't threaten them. They released their divine might to protect their bodies and allowed the air currents to carry them down quickly. About half a day later, they had descended to a shocking depth of about 1,000,000 feet. Although they could sense the natural spiritual energy of heaven and earth here, the power of nature had become very chaotic. The surroundings were filled with strange pressure, causing their aura and primordial spirit to be constantly stripped and crushed. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu seemed to be having a hard time. He used most of his strength to resist the strange and unpredictable natural divine might. Suddenly, swoosh! A black shadow shot out from the rock beside him. With a terrifying aura that could pierce through everything, it shot towards Heavenly Lord Xian Shu in a flash. == Our download address. Phone reading, bibliography.